I thought my Mets were catching fire. They won 6 in a row. I'm thinking, keep going, keep right on going. And then they lost the last 2 to San Diego. So it's kind of reality check. Now they're still like miles and miles away.
But
from
really,
a playoff
this
spot.
six in a row would lead me to believe that it was just like they were just teasing you, Willie.
Yeah,
it
was a tease.
It's like you see your team win 6 in a row, but then you look at the standings and they're still like a million miles away from the top.
Oh, they're definitely a million miles away from.
So
the
why
Braves.
even win 6 in a row?
It's always tough to have that false sense of confidence when you start to gain a little bit of heat, a little bit of traction. The Cardinals went through that about month and a half ago, where I thought, okay, all right, we're turning things around. I knew this wasn't going to last too long. I knew that they were going to shake it off at some point. It was just a false little hot streak, and here we are back to the depths of Major League Baseball.
But then you always try to rationalize it, and you say, well, in the last 8 games, we've been the best team in Major League Baseball.
If you just look at this past weekend, we would be in a playoff spot if this would have continued. Yeah, you got to talk yourself up a little bit. It is a whole lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and a whole lot of boo-hoo Cardinals crew going over here on this program. But some new news that came out over the weekend, not just bad things for the Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals, but potentially some good things as far as the Tennessee Titans are concerned. Because this was a report put out by Mike Reese of ESPN.com yesterday. Now, the thing with Mike Reese is if there's something going on with the New England Patriots, he knows about it. And so in an article on ESPN.com, he wrote, D-Hop update. Key points on where things stand with free agent receiver DeAndre Hopkins, according to sources close to the situation, are as follows. The Tennessee Titans and Patriots have made offers. We knew that. The Titans have been more aggressive to this point, and Hopkins hasn't been in a rush to sign. We knew the Titans and the Patriots had offers. We knew DeAndre Hopkins was not in a rush to sign, but new developments. Mike Reese writes, the Titans have been more aggressive to this point. What exactly does that mean?
I have no idea. I can only assume or speculate they mean in regards to, finance. They are more aggressive in regards to the money that they put on the table. But how will we know that? Because we know the Tennessee Titans, what have they said? We don't negotiate in the public with guys' contracts. So if the Titans are being more aggressive, then I would assume it came from the DeAndre Hopkins camp. And by assuming that, I would have to think that they're doing it for a reason. They're doing it to try to, pit one against the other. Okay, this team is being more aggressive. What are you going to do? Or the teams that potentially will jump into the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. Well, if the Titans are being aggressive, if you're going to jump in this sweepstakes, you need to be right where the Titans are or even better. So aggressive can mean several different things.
It's very vague.
Yeah, it's very vague. So do they mean about money? Do they mean they've been consistently calling it? The Titans been consistently calling and checking with DeAndre Hopkins in this camp? We don't know. Only thing we know is that, someone put out there, someone gave the information that the Tennessee Titans were being aggressive. So, I just think, unlike, just like Willie said last week, I believe it's just to drum up interest. Now, they may be aggressive, but like we said, what does aggressive mean?
Right.
So.
Look, this is, again, such a guessing game. But my theory, and that's all it is a theory, when I see aggressive, it just seems to me like maybe there's a better offer from the Titans than there is the Patriots. And I still kind of sense that there's nobody else in the game right now. I don't know if the Chiefs have said, look, this is all we have right now. That you hear this, they got to restructure Chris Jones, and then maybe they'll have more money for a better offer. But as of right now, they can't get into the game as much as the other two teams. But it sounds to me like the aggressive would mean it's a better offer.
But it's still, when you're looking
like
at
if it's more aggressive, how could it not be
a better offer,
a more lucrative offer. Like I don't.
But even that, if they're being more aggressive, if it seems as if the Tennessee Titans are really the only team, now New England wants him, and New England may be in a situation where they're like, listen, this is what we're going to give you, and maybe the Titans found out that what they were offering wasn't as much as what the Patriots were offering, so now they're getting even more aggressive. But my thing is this: if you want to be with the Titans, you would sign the contract, which leads me to he's waiting on other teams. He really doesn't want to sign with either team. You know, he's waiting for that third or fourth team or more teams to start jumping in the pool and offering up contracts or incentives, contracts with incentives that will get to the number that he wants to be at. Because to me, if there's only two players in this game and one player is being more aggressive than the other, what's the holdup here? Other than you may not want to go through the whole training camp, or you're waiting on that one team or two teams that's on your list that you really
team since day one. I don't think it necessarily means they've upped the offer, and that's what I feel like DeAndre Hopkins is still hoping for. He's waiting to see if anybody ups the offer, because what's out there on the table right now, it could be. This is again all theory. The Titans maybe have the best offer that's on the table, but it still isn't
a good
where
one.
he's sitting there going, yeah, I really feel good about that. Let's just still wait it out. Time is on his side, I guess, at this point. There's nothing he could be doing, or is there? I mean, Derek, maybe that's something we could talk about, is what would be the advantage to him of signing now and starting to get his mind set knowing that he's going to be for X team. Like that's because if there's not a really good reason, then he's got nothing to lose by waiting until August 1st or July 20th, whatever he decides the date is, when he's got to really get himself ready.
I look at it and say really the only advantage of going ahead and signing right now is just kind of peace of mind for DeAndre Hopkins to know where he's going to be. That he can start shopping for a house, that he can start getting acclimated into the playbook, that he can just have that peace of mind moving forward of, okay, I know I'm going to be a New Englander. I know I'm going to be a Titan this season. Other than that, I don't see really any advantage of signing right now. I mean, there's no other deals that are going on in the NFL. There's nothing happening in the NFL right now. The only, he signs now and it's okay, great. Then I'll be at training camp in 2 or 3 weeks and I'll see you then. I think holding out, and it says, Mike Reese's piece that he put out on ESPN.com says one reason for Hopkins to wait a bit longer is to leave open the possibility of another team entering the mix, potentially increasing his market. I think that's what he's holding out for. Is there another team that's going to get into the mix, that's going to give me a better offer, that's going to give me a better opportunity to win the Super Bowl, or the Titans or the Patriots going to come forward with a better offer? So I think that there are far more advantages to DeAndre Hopkins waiting than there is to going ahead and signing right now, because that's really the only advantage for him is to know where he's going to be.
Yeah, the advantage is one, okay, the peace of mind of, okay, I know where I'm going to be playing. The second advantage is I get the money in my bank account ASAP. And then getting entrenched into the playbook, regardless if, this system is a system that I ran in Houston, there still may be some verbiage that may be new, because I think offenses are always evolving, and they add different plays, different schemes, wording is a little bit different. So, for him, if the advantage would be, other than those other two things that I spoke of, is getting into a camp, getting my head in that book, and being ready to hit the ground running once camp starts. So those three things to me would be the advantage for him. But, he may be looking at it as a situation of, why rush, because eventually I know those two offers are still there.
Right.
They're going to be there. It seems like I think New England would move on quicker than what the Titans would. I think New England, they would probably get to a point where, okay, we're done. We're going to move on. Because I think the Tennessee Titans, they're more desperate at this point in time with their receiving core. I think New England's receiving core is their pass catchers as a whole is better. More proven, let's say that. They're more proven than the Titans.
Which, to be fair, isn't saying a whole lot.
Yeah, it's not saying a lot, but it's more proven. So I think Bill Belichick and that staff would be more inclined to, if this thing keeps going, listen, we got to move on. We wanted you on our team. You didn't want to be, obviously, so we're going to move on. And I think the Titans are in a position they put themselves in, and they're stuck because if they don't get them, I mean, it's going to be bad. It is going to be bad from a talking head standpoint, what we're saying about the Tennessee Titans and why didn't they address this via the draft and why did they have to wait to hopefully get Hopkins.
And the question from the Boston perspective, from that area, the New England media, is a little bit more of, well, why are the Titans more aggressive if you interpret that as the offer is better from the Titans? Whereas it's the Patriots that have more money to work with. They have more cap space. So the assumption should be, like if you're a Patriots fan, you're really rooting for the Patriots to sign him. You could easily ask the question, why not just up the ante a little bit? You've got more money to spend than the Titans. Why not just go get him? Go get him if you want him that bad. But it goes back to what we've been saying a lot. Set your price for what you think the player is worth. And I see that philosophy. Look, if he goes any higher than that, it's just you got to stick to it. You don't want to overpay. There are risks involved with signing this player.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll continue the conversation coming up next because I have a couple questions about exactly what that means, that the Titans have been more aggressive than the Patriots in their pursuit of DeAndre Hopkins. Plus, do we like that the Titans are being more aggressive? Do we think that's the right approach to the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes? We'll get into that coming up next, and of course, your phones as well. Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase is brought to you by the new Zen Sports Sportsbook, the only sportsbook in Tennessee with a cash rewards program. Betting just got better. Download their app today. 102-5-1063, The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
On July 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee, 4 men will compete in one boxing ring. Only one winner will be declared. Who will be the last man standing in the first ever Survivor Tag? KSI's Misfits Boxing is coming to Nashville. That's right, Misfits and DAZN are bringing Misfits 008 to the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, including some of the biggest names in the crossover and celebrity boxing space. The night will be packed full of action, including the first ever tag team boxing match in the U.S. Fighters on the night include gun expert Brandon Herrera, fan favorite B-Day, political activist Alex Stein, chart-topping rapper Swarms, lightweight champion Dean the Great, former BKFC champion Alan Belcher versus Hasim Rahman Jr., and many, many more. Misfits 008 tickets are available now, starting at $20 from Ticketmaster.com.
Happy Monday, everyone. This is D-Mase for Zen Sports, the new sports book in Tennessee that brings cash back to Nashville. Or should I say, Cashville. Zen Sports is revolutionizing the way you earn sports betting rewards. On Zen Sports, what you see is what you get. With their cash reward program, you get a lot of cash. I know you hear it, you can see it, you can visualize it, so can I. For a welcome bonus, earn an unlimited 5% cash back on your betting volume for your first 15 days when you sign up with the code D-Mason. That's D-M-A-S-O-N. That's right. Unlimited 5% cash back. Keep betting and keep earning with up to 3% cash back on your betting volume every month after that. And refer friends to earn a percentage of their betting volume as cash rewards too. Zen Sports is bringing the cash back to Tennessee. So if you bet big on sports, you want to be betting on Zen Sports. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older in Tennessee to bet. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Zen Sports. Betting just got better.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app. Breaking down Mike Reese's most recent report on ESPN.com. Says key points on where things stand with free agent receiver DeAndre Hopkins. According to sources close to the situation are as follows. The Tennessee Titans and Patriots have made offers. The Titans have been more aggressive to this point, and Hopkins hasn't been in a rush to sign. So I just wonder, the Titans have been more aggressive in what way? Have the Titans been more aggressive than the Patriots from the jump? That they were the first ones to get that visit with DeAndre Hopkins? They were more aggressive in that there was a better offer on the table for DeAndre Hopkins. The Titans have been more aggressive in that they've been in more communication with DeAndre Hopkins, that they've been checking in, maybe more than the Patriots, been more aggressive in trying to get the answer out of DeAndre Hopkins and his people. Or have the Titans been more aggressive as of late?
As we try to figure all this out, let's remember that Mike Reese, who is basically the Teron Davenport for ESPN for the Patriots. He is a Patriots beat writer.
Yeah.
So his intelligence, you would think, would be all from the Patriots' perspective, right? He's not calling the Titans.
No.
He doesn't have sources within the Titans. The Titans aren't going to tell him anything. So this is what his view of the offer is through the prism of his contacts with the Patriots. So it could be any of or all of those things that you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's really what the Patriots think. It feels like whatever Patriots people, or he's probably also talking to Hopkins' agent, that's their interpretation. That more aggressive to me has to mean that the offer is probably a little bit better.
I would agree.
From the Titans side of it. But I think that's – and he didn't even have enough in this article. I mean, in this story, this is basically just a tweet with that in there. It's not even it's if you look at his page on ESPN – there's not even a story about it.
It's a portion of an article.
Yeah,
the headline
it's
of the article
note.
is about like punters
Yeah.
for the Patriots.
Yeah, it's
and I'm
just
like, are we
two-way
burying
punter.
DeAndre Hopkins intel
Well,
under punters and kickers?
But that ought to tell you something. Maybe that should tell you how aggressive the Patriots have been, which is maybe not very.
I think the Patriots, judging by that article, which it was an article about, like you said, Caroline, a punter, but he was inserted in there. It wasn't, the article, DeAndre Hopkins and the Titans are more aggressive. What are the Patriots going to do? No, it was about a kicker. And be it.
It's a notes column, basically, where there's 7 things, and
it's like bullet points.
There's 10. There's 10 bullet points.
Yeah.
2 of them are about Hopkins. And you really, honestly, could have made it 1.
Yeah.
You really could have to make it 2.
The second bullet point is really kind of reiterating what you already said.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
So there's not much meat there.
So to me, I think New England's offer is what it is, and they have no reason to up it. They feel it's an aggressive offer. It's a offer that would allow him to possibly get more money through incentives. So if that is indeed the case, so what was the original offer from the Titans that they then had to come back? And why did they have to come back? Did they find out something did they get some intel that, hey, listen, this is what New England's offer is. Either you up it or, we may have to go to New England. Mm-hmm. So what was New England offer or someone else's offer that the Titans felt they needed to be more aggressive? Because if they felt good, as Teron has said in his articles, that the Titans feel good about where they stand, if you feel good, then why do you have to go back and make another aggressive offer?
Here is another interpretation. Once again, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a reporter asking his source on the Patriots side of things. The Patriots source, whoever it is, and not going on the record, obviously, in this thing, he might be saying, look, this is off the record, but our feeling is, because if you read the note in here, the question Hopkins might have to ask himself is which team gives him a better chance to cash in on incentives and maximize his earnings. So that tells me that the more aggressive offer from the Titans is probably maybe a little bit more guaranteed money. I would imagine both teams are loading this offer with incentives, right? I mean, you have to. That's fair to Hopkins, and that's a win-win. You're glad to pay him the extra money if he does well.
Right?
Yeah, that's easy to offer. So it sounds like the Titans probably offered a little bit more guaranteed, but it sounds to me like the Patriots' position is, hey, man, the Titans don't throw the ball very much. The Titans aren't very good. We're better.
Are the Patriots better?
Well, I mean, you have to have confidence in your own program, but this is all coming from Belichick, right? But maybe their angle is, hey, we're going to give you a better chance to cash in on those incentives. Well, I don't know. It's sometimes a reporter will take a conversation that's off the record,
right?
And then the person that's giving the information might say, hey, look, you can use this. It can't come from me, but maybe you could ask this question. Where does he have a better chance of cashing in on the incentives? Now, you could have a pretty good debate on that, right? Because of what we've talked about with the Titans situation, he's going to have an opportunity just because of who's out there, who he's competing with for playing time. He may not be healthy enough or good enough or whatever, but he's going to have a great opportunity.
Oh, he's going to have a good opportunity. The question is, okay, which team is better? I don't think it's necessarily about which team is better, because I think both teams have a really good defense, or we assume this year their defenses will be good. New England had one of the best defenses in the National Football League last year. The Titans did as well, but we know predominantly that was because of the run stopping.
It's 2 of the best defensive fronts in football.
So you got 2 of the best defensive fronts in football, and then you have 2 offenses that are similar, but they're not. New England has more pass catch, like proven pass catchers, I believe. The Titans have a group of guys that hope to, really put, a stamp on their career this year as far as them maturing into a good unit. So I don't think it's necessarily about what team is better. What team has the best opportunity to win in their division? That's what it is, because looking at it on paper, one can say New England is better than the Titans on paper.
But they have a much more difficult schedule.
That's the thing. They're in a better
more difficult
division. We assume they're in a better division, but we assumed that last year with Oakland and not Oakland, but Las Vegas in that division with Denver. But what did it turn out to be? Denver turned it out to be trash.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Chargers were just an up and down team. The Vegas Raiders end up just being bad, and you had just one team left, Kansas City.
And
that really was
that
was the dominant team in that division. So even though we may think that the AFC East is a top, like a heavy division, which on paper it looks like it, but you just never know what happens during the season. Injuries, teams, not showing up the way we thought they would. So that's the question. Which division gives them a better opportunity? Not necessarily which team is better.
And the same thing could happen with the AFC South of what if Indianapolis all of a sudden just turns things around and under Shane Steichen, they're unstoppable and they win the division. I don't know. Crazy things happen. Weird things happen in the league. But I think when you're looking at the aggressive pursuit per Mike Reese, that the Titans are at least more aggressive than the Patriots, I think that's the right approach to make. And it makes me excited to see, okay, the Titans are being more aggressive, whatever that means, whether they've been more aggressive from the jump or they put a little bit more into the table, they sweetened the pot a little bit over time, whatever that might mean. I think that's the right approach because if they don't land DeAndre Hopkins, at least Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel can lay it in bed at night and say, we tried everything that they could, assuming that they are doing everything that they can.
Let's also remember, they have limited resources, right? Just got hit with this Nicholas Petit-Frere thing, okay? They might just have to say, look, we're just going to go with what we got for 6 weeks. But these things pop up, right? The reason you have a cushion and flexibility in your cap is that you get hit with curveballs. Guys get hurt. The Landry situation last year. What if you were to have a similar situation? You need to have some resources. We know they don't have much draft capital to trade, if any. So you need to have some ability to go add to your roster during the season. You got to have it. You can't come into the season with nothing with your cap. So you can't go that high. So that is something to keep in mind here is they made their offer knowing what their budget is, and it's limited. And that was before probably they learned about Nicholas Petit-Frere.
Yeah, but you wonder, too, if they're in a position to possibly restructure a contract on the team, the Tennessee Titans, because, again, we don't know what the word aggressive mean in this situation. We don't know if it means, they offer more money or they just are consistently someone's calling, Hop, every once a week just to check in.
Jeffrey Simmons is DMing D-Hop every day.
People are reaching out to him from the organization to see where he stands. So because the article didn't say, they were more aggressive by adding more incentives, to the contract. Because, again, it goes back to why did you feel you needed to be more aggressive? And what does that mean? Because, again, they didn't offer any information as far as what does the Titans being aggressive mean, really mean. We can assume it means money, but it may not mean that.
And that may have just been the plan of how they wanted to go after DeAndre Hopkins the entire time. And inherently, that was a more aggressive approach than the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Or it could have been something that happened after the fact that they, sweetened the pot a little bit, so to speak. And they did that because they realized just how badly they needed DeAndre Hopkins. But that wasn't the only report that we've heard about D-Hop over the weekend. Jeremy Fowler has the latest on another team that could be potentially involved in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. And let me say right now, I'm sick of hearing about this team. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, it's Joe Rexford here letting you know about PhD weight loss because in 8 weeks I'm down 24 pounds well on my way to the goal of 38. Feeling great, loving the food items they provide, which, by the way, 85% of the food provided at no cost. No pills, no gimmicks, no other suppressants, no cravings, no crap. It feels good and it feels sustainable. That's a big thing, right? Huge thing for people who want to lose weight, keep it off. There's a plateau that you hit sometimes where you stall and quit. This is a plateau busting program, okay? Constant Care. It's a program that is designed for you, and it's also tweaked for you as you go. That makes the word plateau irrelevant. You're coached. You're motivated. You're going to know what's happening with your body. You're going to understand how you are getting rid of the visceral fat that can do so much damage to it. And this is going to help you a lot. It's simple and easy. It involves weekly phone discussions with that coach. And there's a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight at the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Join me now. You won't regret it. Visit myphdweightloss.com.
Let's tell you about Loan Pronto. Remember, Loan Pronto can get you a big chunk of cash from your home's equity, and they can do it in a hurry, even faster than they've done it before. the Express Equity Line of Credit. It's a great program that's been helping people for a long time, including our family, but you can now get it even faster than you ever have before. As little as 5 days. You don't have to mess with your primary mortgage. It's a very important part of the equation. So you can keep that 3% rate or whatever it is intact. So just get the money you need and address whatever your financial needs are. A home improvement project. Make that house even more valuable. Or maybe it's just to pay off some bills. Tuitions, credit card bills, car loans, all of the above that might have those bad interest rates that you're looking to erase. So stop paying those insane interest rates and get the rate that works for you. Put yourself in a better financial position by calling Loan Pronto about the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
Check, check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, C7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. TennesseeAcura.com.
Hey Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You've got some updated news on DeAndre Hopkins. What is it?
Well, Hopkins, he visited the Tennessee Titans and the New England Patriots. He's got offers on the table from both teams, and he's mulling those. But, what the Patriots have done this week, I would do it like a wind horse, right? The Patriots did contract extensions for Devontae Parker and Juwan Bentley. Why are they doing that? They're clearing a little bit of cap room. So maybe that's going to help them in their, maybe in their pursuit of DeAndre Hopkins. So they're serious about it. Tennessee is serious about it. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a decision and a new team by the time training camp starts.
There you go. That was Dan Graziano on Get Up on the latest with DeAndre Hopkins. Again, a new report from Mike Reese over the weekend. The Titans have been more aggressive in their pursuit of DeAndre Hopkins. Don't know exactly what that means, but I like it. I like the aggressive approach, per Mike Reese.
Well, let's give what aggressive could mean. We're all giving our theories today.
Could, yes.
And let's get to the chase of this, right? This is a slow news time in sports, right? The slowest of the year. You got the All-Star break in Major League Baseball. A lot of people in the football circles are trying to get some downtime somewhere in here.
They're in Cabo. Yeah.
They're trying to go to Cabo. Like their phone's probably still ringing. We're like, look, I got to get away sometime. This is the time, right? Same thing with the hockey. It's slowing down. There's still some things that have to get done. And among the football things, this is one of the top things. So these reporters that are still working, they're digging, and let's be honest, there's not much.
No.
There's not much. The agent, there's only so much he can tell them. But I'm sure they keep calling the agent back, and they call the teams, and anything changing? Well, not much is changing. But what aggressive could mean to me? The recruiting process, right? A good recruiter, can give you an impression of how bad they want you. Don't you think? Like they can do a good job of the presentation. Hey, look, this is what we can offer money-wise, but let's put the money aside. We want to resurrect your career. You've been down. You got hurt last year. You're in a bad situation. Here's what we've got going in our program. And you sell it, right? That's huge. And you put the full court press on. You're following up with calls. You're getting other people to call. You're getting people on your team that know people that know him. Right, and so you're trying to find those links of people that he trusts that will say, look, the Titans is where you want to go. You want to go to the Titans, DeAndre. And if they're constantly working that, that's how recruiting works,
that's
right?
What
and
I think aggressive could mean.
Yeah.
Not necessarily financial, but they have just been badgering him and his people a little bit more.
And Mike Vrabel still can sit there and say, look, I want him to want to be here, right? If he doesn't want to be here, I don't want him. But behind the scenes, you could have other people saying, look, you need to want to be here. This is why you want to be a Titan.
Right.
Well, we can only go by what Vrabel said. And didn't he say, I don't recruit players?
He did say that.
Yeah,
but he says he doesn't.
I don't recruit
right?
players.
But that doesn't mean you can have other people.
But it all comes from the top, which is Mike Vrabel. So if you are reaching out, I wouldn't say necessarily the players, because the players are going to do what they're going to do, outside of, the head coach. I don't think Vrabel is actively, calling Simmons and the person he probably, if he was going to do that, need to be calling is the quarterback, the running back, and the young receiver and say, hey, listen, y'all stay on his timeline. Y'all stay in his DM. Everybody else, player-wise, no. But if it's coming from outside of the players, like coaches, then that's something that Vrabel knows about and something that he probably has encouraged, if indeed that's happening. I'm not saying it is, but if indeed that's happening. But it's contrary to what he said to Teron. I'm not in the business of recruiting. I did that in college.
He says that.
I know he says, and I'm only
DeAndre
going by his word.
Got the Sprinter van and the Tim McGraw tickets.
Well,
I know it was the owner's box in Nissan Stadium.
It didn't cost him nothing.
But that's still, it's still a little bit of a recruiting.
Yeah,
gift.
it is. You want him to have a good time when he comes here.
Right.
But I think anything outside of that, like if we showed you who we are as an organization. So outside of that, I'm not trying to recruit you, as this 5-star, 4-star athlete in college and constantly calling you every 5 minutes or calling you. No, I'm not doing that. That's what Vrabel essentially said. Now, if coaches are reaching out to him, which I don't know. I don't even know if you can do that at this stage. There might be a period where you can't contact, free agents. I don't know. But if that is indeed happening, then I got to believe it's coming from Vrabel. I'm not going to do it, but y'all make sure, y'all do it. Y'all check up on the wide receivers. You check up on him, see where he's at, see what he's thinking. You don't want to let him get too far down the road without checking on him, So it could mean them consistently checking on him, or it could mean, they've sweetened the pot with some more incentives.
And they have a history, right? It's not that they don't have It's not that they don't have a relationship. They know each other. But I do think that human touch, that people person kind of thing, can make a difference.
Yeah.
In getting a guy who's sitting there. He obviously isn't. He has to be sitting there going, man, I am DeAndre Hopkins. I have put up huge numbers in this league. This is all that's out there for me? I don't get this. I get a pro who's a competitor. He believes in himself. He wants to bet on himself. I get the frustration. But This is the market, unfortunately for him. So I think every time you can peck away each day with a phone call or something, hey, DeAndre, I'm telling you, man, you just take this offer from Tennessee. Here's what we're going to do for you. It's going to work. You got to believe in it. It can make a difference.
For sure, 100%. Brett is on the line with a thought on DeAndre Hopkins. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What's up, Brett?
Hey, thanks for taking the call, guys. I'm wondering, this is a question, I guess. I'm wondering if, keep throwing Derrick Henry out there. Like, for a wide receiver, how much fun would it be to have a guy like Derrick Henry coming right up the middle, keeping, safeties, keeping everybody kind of worrying a bit? And I haven't heard anybody speak about that, of the power of Henry having some sort of an influence, because that's what's going to make Derrick one even better, is having D-Hop, to where you can't have 8 guys up on the line, So it's just a thought.
Yeah, thanks for your call, Brett.
Would you, if you were Mike Vrabel, would you, behind the scenes, say, Derrick, I don't know if you've ever dealt with him, but, man, what would you think? Or maybe even Derrick Henry goes to the Titans and said, hey, I'd love to have DeAndre Hopkins. Do you mind if I give him a call? Does that stuff happen?
I mean, it does.
Did you have Ravens calling you, for example, when you were out there and you had Patriots? You were a sought-after guy.
But it happened. It happened quickly. It happened.
So there wasn't like a layered
there wasn't even time
recruiting process.
Once I went to New England for a visit, and I hopped back on a plane, and actually before I got on the plane, my agent called me and said, "This is what the deal is." I said, "Well, listen, both organizations are great." And I know I have an opportunity to make it to Super Bowl with both organizations. If their deal is better than New England's by the time I get off this plane, then we can reroute and I can go to Baltimore. And I got off the plane and the deal was better. I said, okay, let's go.
Great.
Yeah, because at that point, I thought in my mind, both organizations, they're great organizations. Mm-hmm. Both organizations have Super Bowls in their cabinets. Obviously, New England has more. But both teams were headed in the right direction, I felt. And it bared out. Both teams were headed on to win Super Bowls. Obviously, New England won more. But that was my, deal. And, you just never know in situations like that what he's thinking or what the Titans are thinking, as far as how do we know what the money is. How do we now reach him in another way that can, sway him to our side a little bit? Is it calling a Derrick Henry and say, hey, listen, just reach out to Hop. If you know him, reach out to him, see what he's thinking, or somebody else, KB, reach out to him, see what he's thinking, and kind of go from there. So it could be, and players do that. Some players do it on their own. We saw what New England was doing with Judon. He put it out there, taking pictures, and it seems like the Titans didn't do that. They showed him in sprinter vans at the concert, but it wasn't that picture with a player and all this other stuff. Well, New England had that. Not to say that that's the end-all, be-all.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Simmons reached out to him on Instagram. Yeah. We knew that. Derrick Henry doesn't seem to me like the kind of player that's going to be publicly campaigning for somebody else.
No, he's not.
Not that he doesn't want him to be here.
But it doesn't have to be public, right? It could be behind the scenes, which I think might even be more authentic.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm also curious. Remember A.J. Brown's big public campaign for Julio? That was very public.
Did
that have any weighing on Julio's part? I have no idea.
It
probably didn't hurt, but do you think that got his attention? Like, okay, all right. Like, I do wonder.
But then again, the Titans probably, obviously they traded for Julio, right?
Yeah, they did.
Traded for Julio.
They took on a contract or some of it.
Yeah, they
and
gave
maybe
up a
that is what swayed, Julio. But Julio's situation is different from Hopkins.
Right.
Hopkins is a free agent. He sort of gets to pick. Julio had to wait on teams, and, the Titans were willing to take on that contract or at least some of it. And in this situation, they were not willing to take on that DeAndre Hopkins contract. Nobody was. And now they're in a situation where, it just seems like a two-horse race at this point, and Hopkins and his camp are trying to get other horses out of that barn and out of that stable into the race.
I think it's a two-horse race as well. Mm-hmm. I think we can all agree it's the Titans and the Patriots.
Yeah, as we sit now, yeah.
But there is one team that just keeps hanging around, and we'll get into that coming up next. And, of course, your thoughts as well, 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL.
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you an experienced superintendent, project manager, foreman, or estimator? Do you possess a unique perspective that sees problems as valuable opportunities? We are an excavations and site utilities contractor. We are actively seeking skilled superintendents, project managers, foremen, and estimators who embrace challenges with a positive mindset. If you embody this mindset, apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC, build people, move dirt.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Back in 1949, Dr. Houston began the tradition of treating athletes for common sports injuries. Today, the sports medicine physicians at Houston Clinic Orthopedics continue his legacy. Whether you play at school, in a league, on a professional team, or just enjoy being active, Houston Clinic Orthopedics physicians are there to help you stay in the game. Common sports injuries include tears, strains, sprains, and instabilities of the knee, shoulder, and ankle. Houston Clinic Orthopedics is located where you work and live. Visit tn.houston.com to book your appointment online. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Breaking down the latest with DeAndre Hopkins. We've been discussing Mike Reese's most recent report on ESPN.com, saying that the Titans have been more aggressive in their pursuit of DeAndre Hopkins, but that was not the only new report coming out about the D-Hop sweepstakes. Jeremy Fowler had another report yesterday on SportsCenter about not just the Titans, not just the Patriots, but another team that's kind of been swirling around, another team that always seems to be in conversation with DeAndre Hopkins, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Jeremy Fowler said on SportsCenter, well, the Chiefs have kept in contact, I'm told, with DeAndre Hopkins' camp. They have certainly some interest. The problem is money. They don't have much of it. They're really tight on the salary cap. Now, if they extend defensive tackle Chris Jones, who has a $28 million cap hit, that would free up some money where they could go after Hopkins a little bit more aggressively. But that deal might not happen until closer to training camp or even after. So I would consider the Chiefs on the periphery right now with the Titans and the Patriots, who hosted Hopkins in for a visit a couple weeks ago, still firmly in the mix. Can I just say this? I'm sick of hearing about the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't have any money. The Chiefs drafted a receiver in the second round of the draft. The Chiefs had an offer on the table for DeAndre Hopkins in March before the draft. DeAndre Hopkins didn't want the offer. I believe $3 million was on the table. I don't see why now, if their offer for D-Hop would go up any further in July than it was in March. I don't see the Chiefs. Of course, the Chiefs are interested. Who wouldn't be interested? It's DeAndre freaking Hopkins. But I don't see the Chiefs as being a serious contender the way that they're being talked about as a potential contender for DeAndre Hopkins.
But, Derek, don't you think the Chiefs are probably saying, hey, DeAndre, give us a little time here. Yep. Look, we're the Chiefs. We're the champs. We throw the ball. We have Patrick Mahomes.
Look what
Nobody
did to
else
Juju.
could continue. 100%. But they are saying, look, we don't have a lot of money right now. You got to give us a little time, but we're going to get this worked out. That's plausible as to why DeAndre would stall. Just to, DeAndre said, "Look, I'll give you until this date. If you don't get it figured out, I got to sign with somebody." Right?
Okay, this is where I think we have to at least I have to take off my two-tone glasses or my purple and black glasses, both of them together. Just got to take them off.
Get two pairs of glasses on.
I got 2 pairs of glasses. I have to look at it,
Oh, 6 eyes.
2 pairs of glasses, that's tough. As a kid, you always do that. We're like, oh, wow.
I perfected it. No.
Can't see anything. But.
No, I think if you just look at it from this standpoint, and people say, well, they only offered him $3 million, so what makes you think they're going to offer even more? Well, the Titans didn't offer a damn thing. They didn't even want to they didn't want to touch it, because of the contract, how much he was making. Nobody in their right mind, because everybody could have traded for him. Every team out there, all 31 teams could have traded for D-Hop. No one wanted to trade for him. Why? Because of the contract. Nobody wanted to pick up that contract on a guy that is going to be in his early 30s, a guy that in the last couple of years had some injuries, a guy that has been suspended. No one wanted to take on that contract. So we can't just look at it from the standpoint of, well, they only wanted to offer him $3 million, so why in the hell would he want to go there the second time around? Well, nobody was really offering any money. Kansas City was like, listen, we're going to try it. We're going to throw it out there. Yeah, we want you, but this is all we can pay you. And D-Hop, before free agency started, before he got released, he did the smart thing and said, no. I would have did the same thing. Like, I'm making this amount and you only offering this amount? Hell no. I'll wait till I get in the free agency world and if they will show me and you will see that I'm worth much more than what you're offering. And what he's realizing now is he's not. Not to say that, listen, because I've always said, listen, I'm not going to say how much a player shouldn't get or should get. Because if you feel you're worth that, then okay. But the market will eventually tell you how much you're worth. Once you get in the market, that will it will humble you. It would either humble you or surprise you. And it seems like right now it's humbled D-Hop because he's like, well, I thought this money was going to be out here.
Yeah.
And it's not. So I'm not saying that Kansas City is out of the picture because now Kansas City, if indeed they're able to redo the Jones, just like New England redid a few of their contracts to possibly open up some space, if they started getting a bidding war more teams, don't be surprised if the Titans redo a deal or two here to try to open up some more space to get him on their team. So I'm not looking at Kansas City as, they're totally out of it because they only offered him $3 million the first time. I would offer him $3 million too. Why? Because he was still under contract with the Arizona Cardinals. Once he gets into free agency, the market will tell him how much he's worth, and the market has told him up until this point, listen, you're only worth this amount. Whether you want to believe that or whether you want to hold out, that's your deal. But right now, the two teams that are in the race, they're only offering this much. Kansas City sitting on the outside and say, okay, he hasn't signed with anybody yet. Maybe once we get this deal done and maybe do some more other deals, then we will open up some more cap space and entice him because we may not have to pay as much as a New England or a Tennessee Titans. Why?
I wouldn't think so.
We just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We're more than likely going to be back again, and we have the best quarterback and the best offensive coordinator / head coach in the National Football Team. Oh, and our defense is getting better too.
Is it possible? Like I played you one side of the coin where it's the Chiefs saying, hey, DeAndre, give us time. We want you, but we got to move some stuff around. We can't make you the offer yet, but we just wait till we move this Chris Jones. I can see that happening, but I can also see DeAndre Hopkins beating down the door, his agent calling the Chiefs. Don't you want DeAndre Hopkins? Come on, get this done. You should want him. And the Chiefs are like, look, we're not going out of our way, but he wants to be here. Yeah. Maybe we can do something. maybe that's happening too, where they can sit back and they don't have to do this. I don't think, especially where the Titans are, that DeAndre Hopkins is at a point in his career where you should be restructuring other people and costing yourself money down the road to make room for him at this point in his career.
If it's not going to bring a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If it brings
for
the
the
Super Bowl,
Chiefs,
then okay,
that's a
we're
totally
good.
different thing.
Yeah.
The Bills, the Chiefs, the teams that are right in that window now, that's a different deal. But where the Titans are, and I don't know how the Patriots look at themselves right now. I'm not as worried about that. But if I'm the Titans, not reshuffling money around. You've made this decision this year that you're going to swallow the big cap hits of Henry, Tannehill, and Byard. That's big, big stuff. And once you get through that, your cap looks much, much better on the other side. But you do then you start having Simmons' money start coming in. So you're always got something. So you just don't want to hamstring yourself any more than you already have. I don't think. He's not a guy that you move stuff around for a 31-year-old.
And Kansas City has that Chris Jones contract that they can restructure if they do want to open up money. But in Jeremy Fowler's report, he said it might be during training camp or like up until training camp or maybe even after that. If I'm DeAndre Hopkins, looking at it from DeAndre Hopkins and the Titans' point of view, if I'm the Titans, once it gets into training camp, I don't know how much longer I can wait. You need to have him in the building. You need to start getting him acclimated with Ryan Tannehill, with the offense as a whole. So the Kansas City Chiefs are going to wait until training camp, and DeAndre Hopkins is willing to wait to see if there's a deal that's worked out with the Chiefs, then fine. If I'm the Titans, I don't know if I can wait that long.
Well, you're going to have to wait. I mean, you put yourself in this position. You know, what is plan B and C?
It's also a gamble for DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, obviously, there are other wide receivers, free agent wide receivers, but we know no one of the caliber of a D-Hop. We know that. But there are other guys out there that, can help your team moving forward. Maybe can help this passing group moving forward. So can the Titans wait? They have no reason. That's all they can do right now because they've sort of put themselves in this position. They didn't draft a receiver until late. I mean, that receiver may turn out to be great. I don't know. But when you put yourself in this position where you didn't go out at the start of free agency and get yourself a wide receiver, you didn't address it within the first 3 or 4 rounds. Not to say that, the young man they drafted cannot be good because I believe that if he has the talent, it will show up, regardless if you're drafted in the first round or the 7th round or a free agent. So now you didn't draft one early in the draft. Now you're stuck. You're like, what do we do? Like,
I agree with you there that the Titans haven't given themselves a whole lot of wiggle room or options of how they proceed at the wide receiver position. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get back into this and back into your thoughts. But coming up next, there was a deal made in the NHL, and I'm glad that the Predators were not the ones who made it. And I want to get Willy and D-Mase's thoughts on that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, it's Jared. Want to tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller is keeping you chilling all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy this summer. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. When you purchase a select new HVAC system, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Men, this is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. If you're suffering with erectile dysfunction or other sexual health issues, you need to know that there is no one-size-fits-all treatment because everyone's made differently. That's why our urologists and medical providers offer a broader array of treatment options and can even combine or adjust treatments for greater effectiveness. ED can result from aging, low testosterone, prostate issues, underlying medical conditions, and more. And understanding why you have ED is the first step in treating the condition. That's why you need to know your numbers and understand what other factors might be contributing, and then work with an expert to treat it. And that's where we shine. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we have protocols that are effective in nearly 90% of cases, which means we'll likely find the right treatment for you and you can get your sex life back. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices to serve you, Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME. TD, Teron Davenport, will join us in 1 hour. We'll get his thoughts on the latest of the D-Hop sweepstakes. We're also only a couple weeks away from training camp. It is so close. We can just taste it. It's so close. So we'll get all of TD's thoughts on the latest with the Tennessee Titans. But a little bit of NHL news coming down yesterday. One name that we have talked about, one name that has been kind of floating around with the Nashville Predators, has found his landing spot, and that was Alex DeBrincat, who just signed a deal with the Detroit Red Wings. Now, this was how it all went down. The Red Wings gave up a 2024 first and fourth for Alex DeBrincat and signed him to a 4-year deal worth just under $8 million a year.
Right, plus Dominic Kubalik, a solid player, not a spectacular player, but a decent player, and plus a prospect who is from Ottawa, a little ways from knowing what his future holds, but he's a local kid that they think could be somewhat. So,
right.
You know, the return is very interesting to me of what we thought it was going to be, but maybe the most intriguing part is what DeBrincat signed for.
Which is the 4-year, just under $8 million. And everything that we had heard when we chat with Elliot Friedman weekly, he talked about how DeBrincat was looking kind of for that 8x8 kind of contract, 8x8, 8x9, 8 years, $8 to $10 million a year, signed to a 4-year deal with Detroit. And so when I saw this, I first thought it could be a couple of different things. It could be Alex DeBrincat wanting that lower term deal. So after the contract expires, he could be eligible for an even bigger deal, maybe a $9 or $10 million deal after the salary cap increases. Or the second thing could be he's taking a hometown discount because he's from Detroit. I heard on ESPN Sunday night that it was really Detroit or nowhere. I don't know how much I really believe that. I think that if there was a team that was willing to give up the draft capital to trade for him and was willing to give him the 8x8 contract, he probably would have gone there no matter where it was. But I do think there's a good bit of truth to the fact that he wanted to be in Detroit. He's from Detroit. Yeah. Took a little bit of a hometown discount.
It really does seem like that's where he wanted to end up. And so it was a little bit, to me, reminiscent of the Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, where once it became pretty apparent that the Jets were the team, that they kind of got into a haggling over, okay, look, he's going to be there, but wait a minute, we like the Senators, we got to get good return. This is Alex DeBrincat, but the Red Wings are sitting there going, oh no, this is what we're going to trade you, and that's all we're going to go with.
Right.
You know, I'm sure there was a little bit of back and forth. Ottawa was put in a very tough position because if DeBrincat is saying, look, I'm not going to sign with just any team, right? You can trade me to any team, but I don't have a contract for next year, so I would only maybe sign a 1-year deal. I'll sign a long-term deal with Detroit. Well, that limits your trade partners, so Ottawa had to sort of take what they could get. And most of the people, I was underwhelmed with what they got. You know, they got a decent package back, but not a home run by any stretch. But under the circumstances, you can kind of see why it happened for a guy of his caliber. But for Detroit, Steve Yzerman deserves a lot of credit because they waited it out, and I think they hit the home run because they signed on for 4 years. He's in his 20s. He's already proven to be a dynamic scorer. And if he flops or whatever, you're only on the hook for 4 years and not for 8 years, which is for a long time what was out there for in the trade wins. Is, hey, DeBrincat, if you trade for him, he wants 8 years times 8.8. Yzerman got him for half of the term, which I think is good. I think if he works out well, I think the Red Wings would be glad to pay him the next contract.
Yeah.
Right? Although DeBrincat will have leverage. He's betting on himself that he'll still be in a position to cash in 4 years from now. But to me, that's a much better deal for the team. Because we've just talked, what did we just get through here in Nashville? The 8-year deals that don't age well.
Yeah.
Those 8-year deals are tough to get great return on investment, especially the last 2 or 3 years of the deal.
So are you surprised that either one of you, honestly, surprised that the Predators weren't more aggressive, because considering the package that was, involved in this trade, it doesn't seem like it was much. Now, other than the contract, yes, 4 for 30 something, almost $8 million a year. Yeah, that's a lot. But as far as what you had to give up, it wasn't much.
I don't think that the Red Wings overpaid for Alex DeBrincat. Like I said, I think that he took a hometown discount. But even that considered what you had to give up to get him the contract that he was signed to, I'm glad that the Predators weren't in on the Alex DeBrincat sweepstakes. Because I think that Barry Trotz has kind of set the tone for what the plan and the vision for this team is. I don't really see how Alex DeBrincat fits into that. It's almost like Alex DeBrincat is young, but just not quite young enough, and is almost too good and has too much left in him for him to really fit into the vision that I see that Barry Trotz has.
It's interesting. I don't know that the Predators would have been able to pay the same price and get him. But in a vacuum, if they had made that deal today, and the news comes out last night or whatever, that the Predators have given up XYZ, a first-round pick, a fourth-round pick, a secondary prospect, and a player, I don't know who that would be. Let's just throw a name in there, Yakov Trenin or something like that. I think I would have said, look, I'm in on that, because
really?
I'll play the other side of the coin to you, Caroline. You don't get saddled with another 8-year deal, which has been something the Predators have spent the last couple of years trying to get out of, right? They had to get out of the last couple of years of Johansson. They got out of they bought out at a high cost the last 3 years of Duchesne. Remember, DeBrincat is a little younger too, so you're getting 25. His 20s, right, for 4 years. That should be his prime. He should not age out over the next 4 years. And Barry Trotz has been saying, watch us for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Getting a guy in his prime who scored 40 goals, I think that would have been a worthy investment. I would have been okay with that, because I was thinking to get DeBrincat, you would have to link him to an 8 times 8 something.
I absolutely would have not been interested in an 8-year deal. No way.
But so are you interested in a 4-year deal?
I would have been. I would have been okay
that's going to
that.
pay him, 7, 8, or 8, close to in between. Let's say for the Predators' sakes, let's say between 7, 5, and 8. But it's a 4-year deal.
I don't know.
I would have been okay with that. I would have signed up for it. Now, the question is, was DeBrincat telling his agent, whoever, because his agent was involved, right, talking through. I don't know if the Predators were in on this. I don't know if they were willing to go as high. But I do think it was very clear by what's been reported that Detroit had an advantage because that's where DeBrincat wanted to be.
Totally.
That was his first choice.
That he wanted to go back home.
Yeah.
That he wanted to play for the Red Wings. But I look at...
Who are in the same division as the Senators, by the way. So that was like...
kind of awkward.
We're going to give you DeBrincat. You know, that
it feels like a little ancestral
right.
there. Yeah. But I look at what Barry Trotz is trying to do. And he said, I want to create holes for some of these young guys that they can kind of graduate into. Where if you have, say, a Gus Nyquist and a Ryan O'Reilly, that if they're playing on the top 6 and you want to put Cody Glass up there, that you want to put Philip Tomasino onto the top 6, you can move Ryan O'Reilly back and he's going to be okay with it. Can you do that with Alex DeBrincat?
That's a good point. You would definitely have to say, look, DeBrincat's young. He's in his prime. He's going to be in his prime for a while. He's mid-20s. He's not 30. So he is a part of the long-term plan. But that would definitely, that would affect, especially the wingers. DeBrincat is not a center. He's a winger. So that's where you're looking at, what does that do with Evangelista? Is there still room for him to grow? Is there room for Tomasino to grow, another young winger? If you move Parsonen over to the wing so O'Reilly can play center, what does that do to his pathway? You would have had to consider that. But DeBrincat might have been good enough and dynamic enough to consider that for sure. But obviously it didn't happen.
Right.
And I got to tip my hat to the Red Wings. The Red Wings have taken a long, long time to get good again. And we still don't know if they're going to be good again. I don't know if they'll be predicted hands down to be in the playoffs next year. They've been rebuilding for a long time. And their fans, I'm sure, are getting a little bit antsy.
It's a tough time to be a Red Wings fan. I mean, it's just been brutal for quite some time. I cannot imagine that this was ever their plan. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Preds done. Weren't in on, we don't know to what extent the Preds were in or not in on the Alex DeBrincat sweepstakes, but Alex DeBrincat is headed to the Detroit Red Wings. Are the Predators done? What are some other names out there that could be in the mix with the Nashville Predators? We'll get into that coming up next. Plus, I want to give something away coming up next, so stick around. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, try out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's going on, everyone? Monday is a great day. So, in light of that, I want to tell you men about Cool Springs MD, so I know you're listening. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife, Daphne, along with that experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They're there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. There's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. So, man, what are you waiting for? Get Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Had an appointment last week, got my blood work back, and everything is great. So, you too can make that appointment. Here's the number, 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458. Or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture, eat strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want. But unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you looking to take ownership in a position that will support your growth and development? We are an excavation and site utilities contractor. Several things set us apart from our competition, but we take the most pride in the professional development of our people. We have multiple openings for operators, pipe layers, and laborers. Our pay and benefits are second to none, including our 401k program. Apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Tonight, I've got a bonfire at the lake with friends. First, I need a spritz of my Off Clean Feel. My summer style is all about fun and not about... I don't need Mosquito Bite Red clashing with this crochet top. It's purple, it's bright. I could definitely pair it with my Amethyst eyeshadow palette. The best part is, ugly mosquitoes won't be messing with my fiery vibes. With Off Clean Feel, I've got 8 hours of not sticky, fragrance-free protection. Get your pre-party protection on with Off Clean Feel. SC Johnson, a family company.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
He is out there. There have been a number of teams that have been circling in on him, and Nashville is one of them. They have expressed interest in him. I do not believe yet that they've asked for permission to speak with his agent about an extension, but there is definitely interest there. Brett Pesce has a 15-team trade list as part of his contract. Nashville is one of the teams already on that list, so they wouldn't need further approval for that to go down. But the Preds definitely interested in Brett Pesce, and I could certainly see that being, if they could pull it off, a long-term fit as well.
That was David Pagnotta on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase this past week. Brett Pesce and the Nashville Predators could potentially have a marriage here in the future. I promised a giveaway, so before we get into the Brett Pesce stuff, I want the third caller, 615-737-1025. Third caller will win a pair of tickets to see Fantasia at Ascend Amphitheater on October 22nd. Good luck with that. I know Fantasia is going to be a blast of a concert. But the Brett Pesce sweepstakes, it looks like there's a handful of free agents in the NHL, and we're just waiting on that first domino to fall. You know, the Carolina Hurricanes looking to clear up some cap space, looking to dump some salary. They have apparently been in on the Vladimir Tarasenko sweepstakes, and Brett Pesce is one of those pieces that could be part of the dominoes that fall in free agency. And the Nashville Predators, that has been reported by David Pagnotta, that the Nashville Predators are interested potentially in a Brett Pesce. How aggressive do you think the Predators should be in a pursuit for a Brett Pesce, and how do you really think that it fits, especially with how we've seen Barry Trotz try to construct this team of the future in the 3 to 4 year plan?
Aggressive is really our word of the day, isn't it?
It really is.
Our show today brought to you by the word aggressive. Level of aggression. We had a very good interview with David Pagnotta there. That was a clip from it. He's been the one that's really been reporting this, that the Predators are in on these talks about Brett Pesce. It all stems from Carolina. Now, it's so interesting. Every team that doesn't win it has got their whole thing going on. It's like, what do we need to do to win it? Carolina has been winning and winning big in the regular season for about 5 years now. They have been a dominant regular season team, and they have won rounds in the playoffs, right? They've been to Final Fours. They've won at least the first round, I think, pretty much every year, right? The last few years.
Just can't get over that hump.
But that's what they're all sitting there going, how do we get through and win the whole thing? And I think they're at the point with some of these things that they're talking about doing and already have done, they're basically saying, look, we feel like we've hit the ceiling with the way we've done things. We're going to try to take a few chances here to try to get more dynamic, because the rap on them is they can't quite score enough to win. They can play defense all day, and they can stifle you. And during the regular season, they're going to win 50 games. But in the playoffs, they haven't had those guys that are the difference makers. So how do they try to get the offense? So that's why you hear them talking about Carlson, Tarasenko, you mentioned, guys who can just sort of make those plays even against the great teams. So a lot of it does depend on, do they get Carlson? And if so, they've got Brett Pesce, who is a great player, but he is not an offensive defenseman. He is a defense-first guy. And he's got 1 year left on his contract. They might be willing to bring in Carlson, some of these more offensive-minded guys, and know that they're not going to sign Pesce to the next contract, and so that's why he could be traded to the Predators. Now, this has created a lot of debate amongst Predator people, right? Predator Twitter, as to whether they should be interested in or not from Pesce. To me, you have to look at what would Pesce do for the Predators. He would be a right-handed shot that you could put with the dynamic, offensive, all-around defenseman, Roman Josi, and you could have a great lefty-righty pair where Pesce does what he does. He stays home. He plays defense. He allows Roman Josi, who's kind of a rover, to do his thing. Roman Josi is a teleporter, right? I call him the Nightcrawler. He could be at one end of the ice, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom, like the Nightcrawler, he's back on the other side. How did he get there? Because he covers so much ground. But when you play with Roman Josi, it creates challenges to your defense partner. You can't go roam around all the place. You got to be steady. Mm-hmm. And last year, I think really the last couple of years, they've rotated some different guys around to try to figure out who's the best guy to play with Roman Josi. The last guy that was really the guy to play with him was Ryan Ellis, and he's been gone for a while there. And you would like to have a lefty righty. So to me, Pesce's a perfect fit, even though he's not like a sexy guy where you look at the stats, you're like, oh man, 20 goals and 50 assists. He's not that kind of guy. So I think if you're in a position where the market is such where maybe you can get a guy a little less expensive than you would in a lot of other years because you have cap space and you have assets to deal. So I would be in on it for Pesce. I'm not saying give up 3 first-round picks and your best prospect, but if you could get him and take advantage of the situation that the Hurricanes are in, I'm all in on that.
To what point?
Number one, I would want to sign him to the next contract. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, wait now.
Because he only has 1
year. He's going to be 29.
Yeah.
He's got 1 year left, so you would definitely have him for that year. And you could sort of wait and see, or you could go all in and say, all right, let's sign him to the next deal. He's probably going to want 5 or 6 years at least. He's going to turn 29 during the season. So this will be basically his age 29 season. Mm-hmm. Then you get that 30-something, right? He's played a lot. He's one of the best. And you get that in that kind of Ryan McDonough kind of range where can he play well into his low to mid-30s and stay as effective? That's going to be the question. To me, he's a special defensive player that I think would be worth investing in. Again, not really blocking anybody that you think is going to develop into a star player on defense. You'd probably need to move a defenseman out. You probably for sure would if you're going to bring him in. But let's say it's a couple of these future picks that they have. Be willing to do that for sure. And maybe a prospect, maybe a defenseman like a Carrier, a Fabro, somebody like that. I'm in on that.
But he fits in. He would sort of that say contract length. If you can get a 4 or 5 year deal, 4-year deal, he sort of fits into that time frame that Barry talked about. He can grow. He's not quite 30. He has been 29 playing. And then obviously when he turns 30, it would be the second year. If you can re-sign him to a contract, it would be that second year of a new contract. But he can grow with this team as Barry and Coach Bruno are assembling more talent to stay within that time frame of potentially 3 years. He can fit into that. And if he outplays a 4-year deal, then you could probably sign him back to a 2-year deal, something like that, to continue it going.
That's the question is, what has Pesce told the Hurricanes? Like, he's done a lot. There's part of the reason why you hear his name is They've probably had some discussions on an extension. Pesce doesn't like what he's hearing, and so they're moving in a different direction. The Hurricanes definitely are a team that does that. They move on. They have their budget. They're going in another direction. They brought in Brent Burns, who seems like he's 100 years old, but it worked well. He did well last year.
Yeah.
And they might bring in Carlson, who's also getting up there in age.
Not a spring chicken.
Not a spring chicken. He's got 4 years left on his deal. Carlson, that's a tricky thing. So retention of salary is a part of that equation there. He makes $11 million. So they're not taking him at $11 million, but
goodness,
they're trying to take him for half of that or something like that. So this is complicated, but in the works here. Now, Carlson could end up going to Pittsburgh, and then Carolina would have to say, well, what are we doing now? Do we still want to trade Pesce? Because it's very likely that Pesce is gone and not going to sign a next contract with Carolina.
My thing with Pesce is, what does he want his next deal to be?
Yes.
Because if I'm Brett Pesce and I'm turning 29, I want that security for me to finish out the rest of my career. If I'm Pesce, I probably want minimum a 6-year deal. If I'm Barry Trotz, I'm not getting anywhere near 6.
Well, if you
because remember you have one, you start with one this year.
Right, you start with one.
You would only be adding another year because you figure we already got to do the 1-year deal. It's here if we make the move.
So you're extending
that contract. You would add
absolutely.
That
you would add
extra.
5
It'd be
more
an
years.
extension,
Exactly, absolutely.
Essentially. So that's too much for me.
I think that would be
steep.
that would be the thing that would be tough. Is he enough? Is he that good? And you're confident that he can be that good, that you want him until age 34, 35, because that's what you get into if you get 6. Now you see this DeBrincat deal of 4 years, and you're like, could I get him to sign a 4-year extension? To me, that's where it would be a home run.
It would be
I
a
would
lot
say.
more palatable at 4. It just depends on what he wants. Because bringing
then
him
you
in
have
for a
him for
1-year
5
deal,
years.
I'd be down for that, absolutely, to see that Roman Josi Pesce 1-2 duo defensively. But what's the point of bringing him in for a 1-year deal if you don't have an intention of signing him to that next long-term contract
especially
that he wants?
in a deal where you're probably not going to win the whole thing this year. You're trying to build that.
Right.
And so to build it, you would hope he's a guy that you want to build with, so that you want him there for the next 3 or 4 years if you're going to go ahead and do that.
You don't, I wouldn't want to sign up for just a 1-year deal.
No.
So I'm iffy about the Brett Pesce situation. I am in, but with an asterisk of I don't want too much of a long-term commitment. I don't want the Predators to try to use this bridge this next 3 to 4 years and trying to be as good as possible and bringing in as many good pieces as possible, and then start to almost hurt themselves down the line of, okay, well, now you've signed these longer-term deals to guys that are getting up there in age, that some of these young guys, they're ready. They're going to be competitive. But now you got a handful of 33, 34-year-olds on your bankroll, and it's almost hurting you building 4, 5, 6 years down the line. That's what I don't want the Predators to do. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next, truly one of the more horrific stories I've seen in recent news. I want to discuss. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, TD in 30 minutes. We'll get the latest on the Tennessee Titans with Teron Davenport at 1 o'clock. 102.5-106.3 The Game.
The offseason is in full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the walk.
As a run blocker, he's going to murder a linebacker at the second level.
On everything Titans. TD is on Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast. TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared for PhD Weight Loss. I'm now up to 8 weeks on my program, and I'm approaching the 20-pound mark for weight loss. It's been wonderful, and I'm excited each and every morning to get started with my personalized PhD nutrition program that my coach Rachel has set up for me. I appreciate the fact that PhD Weight Loss hasn't overwhelmed my life, but actually enhanced it, from feeling better about myself in pictures to having increased energy and enjoying vacation. PhD is great for me, and the program is simple. If you're someone who has struggled to lose weight, go online to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. Learn about the program, the coaching, and the guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. And that coaching is a great value. That's PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers organization and fans, online at myphdweightloss.com.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, Nashville, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase is brought to you by the New Zen Sports Sportsbook, the only sportsbook in Tennessee with a cash rewards program. Betting just got better. Download their app today. TD Teron Davenport will join us in 30 minutes. A new report on the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. Mike Reese, ESPN.com, says the Titans have been more aggressive in their pursuit of DeAndre Hopkins. We'll ask TD what exactly that means. But before we get into all of that with Teron Davenport, again, that coming up at 1 o'clock, I wanted to get into the story that came out over the weekend. It was truly one of the more horrific stories that I have seen in college football. This is from the Daily Northwestern. It's a student newspaper at Northwestern doing wonderful reporting on this story about the Northwestern football program of one former Northwestern football player talking about the hazing that's gone on with Northwestern football. He said, I've seen it with my own eyes, and it is just absolutely egregious and vile and inhumane behavior. And I don't want to get into all of the specifics because they're incredibly graphic, but I recommend everyone going to check out the story in the Daily Northwestern because it's shocking to hear the hazing that has gone on at Northwestern. One of the things that they talked about was what they call running. Mm-hmm. And it's with freshman players. If in practice they mess up, then there's groups of veteran players that put on these masks and lock the players in the locker room, sexually harass them, take their clothes off, turn the lights off. And that's just one of several things that's been reported in this account from a former Northwestern football player of just the horrific and vile things that have been going on behind closed doors. Really, my overall take with it is, and Northwestern has suspended Pat Fitzgerald, head football coach, for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. After reading everything, hearing what has gone on under Pat Fitzgerald's reign at Northwestern, I don't think that Pat Fitzgerald deserves to coach another down of football. I really don't. It is disgusting what's happened, and it has been reported that Pat Fitzgerald knew about it, and it's a shame. And he denies that, and it has been reported that he knew about it, or maybe the bigger question is, should have known about it.
Should have known about it.
If he didn't know about it, that's another problem.
Well, and I think that's a strong argument that you have. Now, the president that has put this out did claim there was not enough evidence to prove that he knew about it, and therefore it's only a 2 weeks. But if he knew about it, I think he probably would have been gone by now. Yeah. Remember, Pat Fitzgerald was a great player at Northwestern who was that program was awful for a long time. But remember those years in the 90s
Mm-hmm.
And, Derek, this is right around when you were playing in the Big Ten. Well, all of a sudden, they got good. It was a massive, massive national story. They played Peyton Manning one year in Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl. They made the Rose Bowl the year before. Like, out of nowhere, Pat Fitzgerald was on those teams.
Right.
So he's been the head coach for 17 years. Like, think about having the credit. 100%.
Yeah.
Like, he's got the credibility of a Coach K on that level, right, at Northwestern. A guy that grew up in the program and stayed there. And they've got these great facility upgrades they've used. But the last few years haven't been good. So he's got a lot of credibility coming in, but now they've had a couple losing seasons, and now this comes out. A student unnamed, or a football player unnamed, with the corroboration of a second football player. And this was the student newspaper that had a lot of this, right? The bulk of it.
Yep.
The very, sort of the details. And as much as you hate reading, it's uncomfortable to read, it is important, I think, to read the details because, Derek, this is why I'm going to bring you into this. I was fortunate in all the teams I played for, minor league baseball, college basketball, college baseball, high school baseball, high school basketball. I was never on a team, maybe I was just lucky, that went through something like this where there was hazing. But I can tell you, I have talked to a lot of people who are my age-ish who had terrible things like this happen, and nobody ever reported it. It just happened. It was like, well, that's what I guess we had to do. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You guys did the similar stuff to this, maybe even worse on some levels, sometimes less. But, Derek, I asked you when this story came out, were you fortunate to avoid really bad situations like this? I mean, my heart goes out to players like that. You're going there to play football.
Yeah. I think there's a level of, because you got to be, I think nowadays you got to be careful. Because hazing can mean a myriad of different things. It could mean, I made you, clean my car, or I made you go get us donuts every Friday because you're a young guy, or it could mean some other outlandish stuff that we've heard about.
Right.
So,
like what's detailed
what's
here.
being said about, the Northwestern program. So, that was, 30 years, almost 20-some years, 30 years almost for me in regards to, my years at Michigan State. I can't remember, anything out of the ordinary. There may have been some hazing, but it was the stuff that you would probably think, oh, that's nothing. Like taking your clothes, your clothes and throwing them in the water, and you got to wear, gray shorts and gray T-shirt around, all day or until your clothes dry, or them hiding your car keys or moving your car and stuff like that where it's harmless stuff.
Cut your hair.
You're like, man, or cut your hair or your eyebrow. It's like, okay, it's a part of it, but that's one end of hazing. That's more like the lenient, part, the sort of, but then again, there are some people, that, like I told them, I wasn't cutting my eyebrows. Y'all got to find something else to do. I'm not cutting my eyebrows. Y'all not got to force me. And they didn't. It was like, okay, we'll find something else, for you to, and I understand people with hair. They don't want their hair touched. It's part of their heritage or something like that. We are not going to touch that. We're going to do something else. But I think we gotta look at this and try to figure out, okay, we have an independent person that came in and sort of did their investigation and for months and came back and said, okay, this is what we found, about the program. He should have known about some of these things, but these are the things that we know he knew about. So we're going to suspend them based upon that. And they're right. You can only suspend someone based upon what they knew about, because then you can run into a legal situation if you start just suspending them willy-nilly and games and money. Now he's going to come back and say, no, you can't do that. And Northwestern, just like any other college, don't want that. So we suspend them first. And now there's other stuff coming out. Then they go back and they try to reassess. But my thing is, what are you reassessing here? I need some more evidence. 2 players came out, corroborated what was going on. All right. Now we need.
Are there 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Or
now
10
we need to
more
go back
other
in and see if
players.
everything sort of matches up. Because the last thing I want to do is take the word of 2 individuals. I don't know if they got an axe to grind against this program or against this coach. I go off of these 2 individuals and I suspend him for half a season, or, as you said, I take his job away. Then it comes to find out none of this was true. Now you're on the hook for suspending me for something that I didn't do. Now, should I have known about? No, I didn't know. Should I probably have known about it? Yeah, this is my program. There are things that I should know, and but there are things that college students do, athletes and non-athletes, that college faculty never find out about. They just never find out. So I'm not going to believe this notion, just like, Nick Saban. There are things, as much as, these coaches are micromanaging everything, there are things they don't know about. It just happens. Things that happen in the locker room, because a lot of times we don't want the coaches in the locker room. We don't.
I was reading on ESPN.com that one of the players said that Pat Fitzgerald really rarely comes into the locker room because he says that's your space. This is this is a player space, and I'll let you have your independence, and I'll let the leaders lead the locker room as need be.
I can't tell you how many times Nick Saban came into our locker room.
Right,
Probably never. A couple of times. That's it.
They're not typically hanging out in there. Not at all. Now the meeting, you this day and age, most times there's a meeting room. When I was in school for basketball, the locker room was the meeting room. So the coaches would not be in there until it's time for the meeting to start.
Exactly.
But they left the team to themselves to have their own time leading up to it. So there's a lot of environments. I wonder what the locker room was like for Pat Fitzgerald when he was playing. What did he experience? Was there an initiation or hazing? There's so much interpretation. These 2 guys have their take on what happened, and they have evidence on the board, right? They have a eraser board of here's what's going on, but they could have 3 or 4 other players saying they exaggerated. It wasn't that bad. It was all in good fun. That's where you get into that gray area of what is really across the line and what is the reason that you're supposed to be doing these things, and that is you're knocking the guys down a peg a little bit, but you're trying to make your group stronger, a strong bond. That's the idea. It gets very warped, in my opinion, when you get into all this stuff.
When you start
hey, you're
things,
a bigger man. Now you've gone through this. I had to go through it, so you got to go through it. I mean, and it gets sickening after a while.
And let me say this. If all of this is true, if all of this did, in fact, happen, which I read that there was enough evidence to support that it did happen to a certain extent, then I don't think that Pat Fitzgerald should have a job anymore. If it comes out that these things weren't 100% completely true, then we can reevaluate. Because, I do think that the term hazing might be an umbrella. And then it's not lost on me that probably every team in America has things that the rookies do. You got to carry the water jugs, hide your car keys, make the rookies tell jokes in front of the entire team.
You got to sing or something. Yeah.
Something that's goofy like that maybe technically is considered hazing, but it really is sort of an initiation process of we are bringing you into this fraternity. We're bringing you into this team. We're breaking down the walls so you feel more comfortable around this locker room. But where this story comes from, the umbrella of hazing where this is coming from is it's trauma-inducing. That it is sexual harassment, that it is harassment
and it's tied to making a mistake on the field. You make a mistake on the field. Can you imagine the fear of, oh, man, I just messed up, which people are going to do.
Right.
Freshmen are going to screw up.
And they should screw up.
And now you have on top of that, oh, man, now I got to go through all this garbage, that I just watched my teammate have to do yesterday. That's something that would keep you up all night and put, especially certain types of kids. Everybody's different. Like that could traumatize a guy real quick.
The name for the freshman class on our team, they called
This was at Michigan State?
Yeah, they called us boogers.
See, probably not great, but you live to tell the tale.
Yeah, you live to tell a tale. So we
that was the
were
worst
known
thing?
as boogers.
That's probably the most innocent word that you could. That's like what 4-year-olds call each other. Like, you're such a booger. Like, that's the most innocent thing I've heard. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll continue the conversation coming up next, because this is coming out about Northwestern, but I do wonder how prevalent and how common is this around college sports, around different programs across college football. We'll get into that coming up next. TD will join us in 15 minutes. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
Big time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch.
Talking about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville, or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
Genesis is actually a new beginning.
Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon talking about why it's called Genesis.
I love the symbolism of the name. It's a new beginning.
Boaz wanted the name of his company to mean something, to reflect his core values and the importance of starting relationships for people in love, as well as the relationship he wants with each and every customer.
It's a new beginning in their life for the relationship between us, the jeweler, the Genesis Diamond, and the customer, and it should last forever. Everything we do is for the customer.
Walk into Genesis and you can feel it. Genuine people who are solely focused on celebrating the best moments of your life.
It's not only my passion, it's my culture. Genesis is the book where God created the world, the day and night, the man and the woman. Every diamond engagement ring that we specially created for the customer is a new beginning for amazing, lasting relationship.
Come start your amazing, lasting relationship today at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey Jen, sorry I'm late. I had to stop for gas.
Yeah, I can't believe how much it costs for gas now.
I know, everyone's still talking about how much gas is, but I never pay full price. I just use the free Upside app, and I get cash back for every gallon of gas I buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid real cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yeah, I earn back up to 25 cents a gallon every time I buy gas.
What? That sounds like it could really add up.
It sure does. I've made over $300 already.
Wow, that's serious extra money. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code CAR3 for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CAR3 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code CAR3 for 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
They're homegrown in Nashville, discussing the biggest topics in the SEC.
The fans are going to want the rivalries to stick around. They've lost to Alabama every year.
The NFL.
What if all the top three quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3? You've got to draft your guy at 2.
And anything in between.
From thinking we know everything to then forgetting about everything we thought we knew the day before.
They're Jonathan Hutton and Chad Withrow on Outkick's Hot Mic.
Out of the gates, ready to go.
Weekdays from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app. having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has the chance for you to win tickets to concerts and sporting events, plus ultimate staycation that includes Titans tickets, Preds tickets, plus a 2-night stay at Opryland Hotel with access to sound waves, which I've heard is pretty freaking awesome. Black Tie Moving delivers the Game Summer Ticket Tour. Stay tuned for more details. We're breaking down the latest report coming out from Northwestern football, and this being from the Daily Northwestern, the student newspaper at Northwestern, accounts of horrendous hazing within the Northwestern football program, forcing freshmen to get naked and do things. And apparently it was reported that Pat Fitzgerald, head coach at Northwestern, knew about this. Now, Northwestern has suspended Pat Fitzgerald for 2 weeks. My impression of the suspension, because from the outside looking in, it looks really bad that all of this is coming out and Northwestern says, all right, we'll slap you on the wrist with 2 weeks in the middle of July when you're really not doing anything. But the way that I interpret it is Northwestern said, hey, step away for 2 weeks, 2 weeks without pay. We're going to undergo our own investigation, really get to the bottom of this, talk to more football players, do their due diligence before deciding what to do with Pat Fitzgerald long term. And if that is indeed what Northwestern is doing, I do think that's the right way to go about it, is make sure that you are getting all of your evidence, that you're getting to the bottom of it, to make sure that the extent of what is being reported is in fact 100% true. There's too much smoke, I think, for it not to at least have a little bit of merit to it. But if that is what Northwestern is doing, then I think that's the right thing. If it's a 2-week suspension, that's it, move forward, everything's past us, I think that's wrong.
So there was the journalism report, and by the way, they have one of the best schools of journalism in the country. So since the student newspaper had the 2 football players, then there was a independent
that was done first. The independent was
so
done
that was
first,
going on as well, and they submitted their findings that they did not. They said it was credible, right?
That there's enough evidence to say this was going on.
So,
but it was not enough evidence that he knew about it.
Right. So that's where there have been articles written saying, look, you can play that card. And remember, for a while in the NCAA rule book, if a school was cheating, the coaches well, I didn't know. That was the assistant, and I fired the assistant. They got to a point where, like, look, that ain't flying anymore. Okay, like Rick Pitino. Remember the whole thing with the hookers and the recruits?
He didn't know about it.
Really big, nasty scandal. He's like, I didn't know any of this was going on. Well, that didn't fly. Okay? If you didn't know about it, which you find very, very hard to believe, just like I believe that a Pat Fitzgerald, who has had his DNA in that program for all these years, you didn't know that was going on at all. I find that hard to believe. Maybe it's true. That's what he's playing. That's the card he's playing.
But shouldn't you
know
your locker room?
Right. That's why they changed the rule. They changed the rule. What should you be expected to know?
Well, you should be expected to know it all.
Yes.
Because they're looking, especially now, like in today's sports, they feel you're getting paid enough. You know, you should know what's going on within your program. Now, we don't know. I don't know if the article stated it. I think it may have did. I may have just not remembering it. But he's been there 17 years. Well, when did this occur? And not to say that, it doesn't matter, but okay, if it occurred, 3 years into his head coaching deal, okay, all right.
Yeah, in other words, this was over a decade ago.
It still wasn't right, but okay. If it happened as recently as 5-6 years ago, now it's a little bit different because now you've been here long enough. You know the ins and outs of this. This program is yours. This is your baby.
The accounts, the former player that came forward said this happened in the 2022 season.
Well, that's something he should have known about.
Yes.
He should have knew what was going on in his program. Now, they've had an independent, investigator. And this was, I think, prior to the rest of the stuff coming out. The independent investigator came back and said, listen, we believe some things did happen, but we can't prove that he knew about it. There are some things we can, but there are some things that would cause a longer suspension. We can't prove whether he knew about it or not. We're going to suspend him based on what we know he knew. Now, then they suspended him. Now, these allegations come out again because that's what they are, allegations. Whether they're true or not, it will be yet to be determined. Now, these other allegations come out. Now, as a president, I got to reassess. I got to go back and look and really now have this, take what this, independent investigator, take their findings, sort of match it up with what was said, and now do another investigation based and see if all of this ties together. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't tie together, then I don't know if I can suspend him longer than what I have. What we got to be careful with is I'm just not going to suspend him because people came out and said this. I can't. From a legal standpoint, I can't. Now I got to find out whether these were true. This may take a little bit longer. Now, if it comes to find out that he knew about this, knew about it, then yeah, he's no longer an employee of the university, Northwestern University. Mm-hmm. Now, if it comes out still that, well, he should have known about it, but we can't prove that he did. Well, now I can suspend him, but I can't suspend him indefinitely. I can suspend him possibly for the half of the season.
Exactly. There's been a lot of debate on what's the right suspension. Uh-huh. Some people think 2 weeks is a slap on the wrist, mm-hmm. but I'm sure they had a debate on, well, what would you have the suspension based on everything you're saying? They can't prove that he knew about it. But the other thing that strikes me is in this day and age, right, for the last 5 or 10 years, mm-hmm. it's been pretty clear
what you can and what you can't do.
This is what was acceptable in 1990 or 1980 or even 2000 mm-hmm. is not acceptable now when it comes to that stuff. There's been a lot more awareness because some people have gotten really hurt. Yeah. And this same goes not just sports, but in the fraternities and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's not what it used to be. Mm-hmm. And so this sounds like a story right out of 1980 or something like that. Like, you don't do this anymore. I don't understand.
You don't do this. Yeah. I don't see how this helps your football team. And look at Pat Fitzgerald and the role of a head football coach. I mean, you're a father figure. You're a mentor. You are supposed to be the guidance that gets these guys to, the next level. You are supposed to be their number one confidant. And if this is all true, that Pat Fitzgerald not just knew about it, but also participated in it. Mm-hmm. There was some sort of clap that would
that was the biggest
that one of those
link.
Players are going to get run, is what it was called, basically hazed. That Pat Fitzgerald was participating in that he was doing the clap. And if that's true, shame on Pat Fitzgerald. That's it's disgusting.
Right. There was a clap to signal that, okay, you've just made the list of running, right? Uh-huh. Which is the treatment you got, which is you can read the details. It's not pretty.
No.
And they were imitating a clap that Fitzgerald would do on the field. Right. And so it's unclear whether Fitzgerald was signaling to the players when he would do this clap or
if
they were just mimicking his
what
clap.
He was doing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's you. If there were things done to that magnitude at Northwestern University, you would hope that more people start to come out and sort of tell their story, whatever their story was, even if it was just small hazing, just so you can sort of get a picture of what's going on. You want the whole picture. If hazing was allowed or fostered within this locker room, whether it was fostered by the elder statesmen, meaning the seniors, or whether it was fostered by the head coaches, then now we have a problem. Because whether it was a small hazing or a large hazing, you fostered hazing within your locker room.
And you're old enough to know.
Exactly. You're old enough to know. And so now it puts other people in situations where they may be drawn into this from a legal standpoint. Those upperclassmen that were these individuals that are saying they went through it, did they then initiate it on other people? So there's a lot of moving parts in this thing, but it all boils down to, one, it's his program. He should have known. If he did know, he shouldn't be coaching anybody's kid anymore. If he didn't know, he should have known. but I'm still suspending you because you should have known because it's your program.
And I do fear that there unfortunately might be other players from other programs that come out with similar experiences with hazing, wherever that might be. And I don't know that for certain, but I do fear that this is not close to the end of this story with Northwestern. But what does give me hope is if enough players come forward, that there'll be finally, we'll get to the point where it's just an absolute zero tolerance for causing lifelong damage to a player that's just trying to live out their childhood dream of playing college football.
Well, there was a sort of press release put out by the team. Now, it says
signed
the team,
the players.
But, I mean, listen, you're going to have you're going to get the leadership, involved in this, the players' leadership, and you're going to ask them questions, and you're going to draft something based upon what they said, but you're going to make it professional. I don't see anything wrong with that because you don't want to put out something that doesn't sound right. You want to make sure that every word, because those words will be used against you later on. So whatever we put together, some PR firm needs to read through it and then craft it in a way that it's crafted in an articulate way. It may sound like a PR. It was, but what they're saying is it was the voices of the players that are there now, current players, and we put all of their voices together, and this is what it says. So I'm not too bent out of shape because it's a press release. It sounds like a PR firm did it because a PR firm did do it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want somebody that isn't used to writing these type of press release. I don't want to put them in charge of it.
They want their message
they want their message pushed out the way they want it pushed out. So
615, just awful story come out from Northwestern. We'll keep everyone updated as we learn new information. 615-737-1025. TD Teron Davenport will join us coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hear that? That's Jeff Anderson. He's that guy in your neighborhood that's always making improvements to his house, his car, his yard. On your street, it's about keeping up with the Andersons. One thing you don't know is Jeff's tools are from Harbor Freight. Tools at great prices. That circular saw right there, you wouldn't believe the deal he got. Just think, when you're keeping up with the Andersons, you're saving money. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville. Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win. Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Today's world is filled with many things that can push any of us to our limit. An upcoming move should not add to that list. When you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. From the free estimate by a local professional moving consultant to the red carpet treatment you receive on the day of your move, their trained and dedicated team is there to ensure that they take the stress out of the process. Call 844-920-2966. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's got a coach shot by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and The Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME. Joining us now is TD Teron Davenport, ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter. Do we have TD? Okay, we are awaiting TD. But there was one thing that I wanted to ask TD about, and this came out in Jim Wyatt's mailbag. A little tidbit that was buried in one of the questions, and one of the questions was about Malik Willis. And in Jim Wyatt's mailbag, he says Malik's roster spot isn't guaranteed, even with the new rule, the new quarterback rule. Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis will be on the 53-man roster because Tannehill is the starter and Levis was the 33rd overall pick, and he's going to be given time. So Malik needs to keep improving and earn his spot. This kind of caught on like wildfire. Like, I saw articles on CBS Sports. I saw it all over Titans Twitter. My question is that not something we didn't already know? That Malik Willis's roster spot was not guaranteed?
Yeah, I mean, even though the league has said you can carry 3 quarterbacks, and we have TD on the line now.
Well, I'll get TD's thoughts on this.
Let's get TD on.
TD joins us now. TD, appreciate you for joining us. TD, we were breaking down Jim Wyatt's most recent mailbag, and he says Malik's roster spot is not guaranteed, whereas Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis will get the nod and will have the roster spots. I think that's kind of obvious. What was your take on Jim Wyatt saying that, and what does Malik Willis? What do you think will happen with the 3 quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think it is quite honest. I mean, it's not guaranteed. Obviously, Will Levis and Ryan Tannehill, they have their spots. I think Willis, his main thing is just going to have to show drastic improvement from last year and continued improvement from how he performed in OTAs and minicamp. That's going to be the main thing. Fortunately, they have the rule, which you know about, where the 3rd quarterback can be, there's a separate roster spot for that. So that's a good thing for them. And it's just really going to come down to how they value that roster spot, right? That active game day, active, the ability to have that 3rd quarterback versus that 6th or 7th receiver or 4th running back or 5th safety that would be a gunner or something like that on special teams.
TD is with us, Sharon Davenport. You say he needs to show significant improvement, and I would agree. That's something that Jim Wyatt talks about in his mailbag as well, is Malik Willis's improvement, that he needs to earn his roster spot. What do you think that looks like, Malik Willis earning his roster spot?
I think it's getting in and out of the huddle the way he has. I think it's going through his progressions, going with anticipation, and just overall playing the quarterback position and just being a leader in the huddle, in the building, and on the field, all of that. I think that's really what it entails. And obviously it's going to involve performing in these preseason games, which he's going to get plenty of opportunity to do that because, Tannehill doesn't typically play in the preseason. So now you're looking at least a half for each guy, and that's a good opportunity for both of them.
Yeah, TD, that's what I was going to ask you because, his roster spot is sort of shaky right now. It's not guaranteed to him, meaning Willis or, frankly, a lot of these players. How does it look in a preseason, especially if you're a team that wants to see what you have in your 2nd round pick in Will Levis, but you also want to give, Willis a fair shot because, frankly, last year it wasn't fair. It really wasn't. But the game is not fair, and you got to be prepared and ready to go. But he just wasn't put in a advantageous position, meaning Willis, to go out there and perform. So do you think that he will get the sufficient enough time in the preseason?
Yeah, I think so. And I think just knowing what he went through last year and just that was kind of a, baptism by fire. And he said that he's a lot more comfortable this year having done everything last year. So I think that whole experience surviving that in itself will give him the time to be able to come out and do the things that he needs to do. And then additionally, playing a full half, that's going to be really good for him. So I think, you look at all that together, it's going to be a much better situation. Now, how the offensive line works is going to be interesting because obviously we know, the situation with Petit for how much is it going to allow him to play, right? Is he going to take the 2nd and 3rd team reps, which will be, with Willis and Levis? Is that going to be the picture or,
Talking to Teron Davenport, talking Titans. Teron, your counterpart over on ESPN that covers the Patriots had a little note in what looks like a notes column. He had some bullet points, what's going on with the Patriots. Sort of a slow news cycle, but he did mention in DeAndre Hopkins that they felt like this is, again, through the prism of his contacts in New England, that the Titans offer was more aggressive. How do you interpret that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I know, from talking to people, they did, everything they can to influence him to sign with them and not even, take the other visit. But once it was decided that he was taking a visit, they were confident in what they offered, and as far as the contract, as well as just the experience, and they felt that they have a good shot. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that Mike Reese and his Patriots contacts, or whoever his contacts are, have steered him in that direction.
So this is not really new news to you, I'm sure. It doesn't really change how you've been. You've answered this because we've been asking you this for, I don't know, a month now or getting close to it. But it did seem like there was implied that there were a lot of incentives here in these offers, right? And hitting those incentives will be a big key to how much money DeAndre Hopkins would make.
Yeah, I would imagine there are incentives in the offers, and I think it's likely to be earned ones, which is a good thing. That's attractive to the player, so that's something. It's just really interesting how it's coming out that the Patriots made the offer. I didn't know that was the case. And I had wondered that, after they redid, they signed Devontae Parker and that dropped his cap hit. I thought that maybe that would allow them a little more flexibility, and I guess that's what it did.
Now, do you believe the Titans back themselves in a corner in this situation, because they didn't go out and address the receiver position in free agency, even though they did with Chris Moore? I know that. But then they didn't draft one into the 7th round, I believe, in the draft. And now they put themselves in a position where they need a bona fide pass catcher, an experienced pass catcher. Now they have no situation. They have no, recourse but to just sit here and wait on Hop.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like they did push themselves in a corner. But then it also makes you wonder, did they put all their eggs in that DeAndre Hopkins basket? That's the thing that I wonder is, okay, because remember, Mike Vrabel has said that, free agency is ongoing and it doesn't end just when the first two, main periods end. There's still possibilities and guys that, ways that they could address the position. And it just makes me wonder if they firmly felt that this was going to happen with DeAndre Hopkins. And then also you had the rumors that came out, the C.J. Stroud deal, to move up to get him with Arizona. Supposedly Hopkins was in that deal. So you never know. I think they have backed themselves in the corner, but I wonder if it was intentional.
TD is with us. TD, in that Mike Reese report, he says the Titans have been more aggressive, which is awfully vague. When he says more aggressive, do you think that he's implying that the Titans have been more aggressive than the Patriots have, maybe through the entirety of this process? Or the Titans have been more aggressive as of late than they were at the beginning of the D-Hop sweepstakes?
Yeah, I don't know, because, that's Mike Reese's report, so I don't want to put any conjecture on that or anything like that. But, I mean, if I had to answer the question, I would say, I know that they put the press on him when he was here, right? And I know that him leaving the building, they felt good. And they said, what I was told is they were going to lay back, let him go ahead, spend some time on the visits, do whatever he had to do, and reconvene at some point. So I wonder if them reconvening is the part that Mike Reese is saying that has been more aggressive. I don't know. I haven't heard anything in regards to that, but that could definitely be a possibility.
TD, you are the very best. A happy belated birthday to you. Hope you enjoyed a nice celebration, a nice little getaway.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I did. I enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad. Appreciate you, TD. We'll chat with you next week.
All right. Take care. Yep.
All right. Thanks, TD. Coming up next, we'll react to what he had to say about DeAndre Hopkins and Also about Jim Wyatt's most recent mailbag, saying Malik Willis's roster spot is not guaranteed. Your thoughts as well, 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase is brought to you by the new Zen Sports Sportsbook, the only sportsbook in Tennessee with a cash rewards program. Betting just got better. Download their app today. 1025-1063, The Game.
All the big plays.
Henry up the middle. Looks a little move. 10, 5, touchdown.
All the big stories.
Should the Titans go after DeAndre Hopkins?
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's overboard.
Such superstar players.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Black Friday in July at Electronic Express. Get up to 50% off in every department. Don't miss a TCL 65-inch Roku TV for only $349 or an LG laundry pair for just $499 each. Save on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, and more. Get an Acer Aspire laptop for just $199 or a Ring Video doorbell for only $149. Get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, Tennessee, when you bet on Zen Sports, the new sportsbook in town, you get the best reward possible. Cold, hard cash. You bet with your own money, so why accept anything less from your rewards program? With Zen Sports, you earn cash on your bets, cash on your referrals bets, and a welcome bonus. And you guessed it, cash. So stop settling for Vegas rewards when we're in Tennessee. Cash in your old sportsbook for Zen Sports. Your wallet will thank you later. Zen Sports. Betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. And it's also a vital service that provides important emergency information when your community needs it most. Tell Congress you need AM radio to stay in your car. Because when cell phones and the internet are down, this free emergency service is critical. And when you don't have electricity, radio in the car is often your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Zander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Zander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Zander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is back in Nashville August 4th through 6th and is a must-see experience that has something for everyone to enjoy. 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan has all your coverage leading to the race, including driver interviews with Chase McCabe, ticket giveaways, and much more.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah. And like us on Facebook, too. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 1025 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
First is the comfort level. You definitely see that. But then you look at the play that ended practice. You know, he threw the ball to the back corner of the end zone before Mason Kinsey came out of his break, and Kinsey caught it, and it was an easy touchdown. And that was one of the first times in a while I've seen him throw with Anthony. Yeah, I think it is quite honest. I mean, it's not guaranteed. Obviously, Will Levis and Ryan Tannehill, they have their spots. I think Willis, you know, his main thing is just going to have to show drastic improvement from last year and continued improvement from how he performed in OTAs and minicamp. That's going to be the main thing. Fortunately, they have.
There you go. That was TD Teron Davenport on the most recent mailbag report from Jim Wyatt, his Sunday mailbag, which I love Jim Wyatt's mailbag. It's filled with so much tea. But a question was asked on Jim Wyatt's mailbag about Malik Willis, about how he's looking in camp, hearing that he's improving. And Jim Wyatt writes, appreciate you reading. Malik's roster spot is not guaranteed, even with the new quarterback rule. Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis will be on the 53-man roster because Tannehill's the starter and Levis was the 33rd overall pick, and he's going to be given time. This caught on like wildfire. Like if you search Tennessee Titans in Google, that's what's going to come up is Malik Willis's roster spot is not guaranteed. Correct me if you think differently. I never thought that it was guaranteed. And if not for this 3-quarterback rule, I don't know if we would be shocked at all by Jim Wyatt saying that Malik's roster spot is not guaranteed. You got to earn it.
Well, considering, what happened last year, and we believe, or I'm not going to say everybody, I do believe that Willis wasn't a Vrabel pick. I think, it was one of those deals where we're drafting him. We're going to get a bargain. This guy was projected to be a first or second rounder. We get him in a later round, third round. We don't need him right away. Let him develop. And, we saw what happened. It didn't work out for him well last season. And listen, he shouldn't have been in the game. No way, no how. He wasn't ready. The team should have known he wasn't ready.
And they did him dirty.
Yeah, it was all around. But again, from a player's point of view, I can say, you shouldn't have to get ready. You should be ready. But the quarterback position is totally different from everybody else's position.
Yeah.
It's much harder. You are in control of all of the offense. So that learning curve may be different for a quarterback as it is for a wide receiver or a running back, tight end, offensive lineman like that. So I just think he was put in a horrible situation. But it doesn't change the fact that you got to earn your spot. The next following year, you got to come in and take, what happened last year and make it, work it to your advantage and come back and show that you are more than ready. So I never thought his spot was secure from that standpoint. But carrying 3 quarterbacks, I think it makes it a little bit better for him.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh, okay, you're the third guy. We're going to use it. You're the third guy. So we're going to roll with that. No, you got to show that you've improved.
I say this all the time, but again, this is an illustration of how flawed the developmental system is, especially for a complex position like quarterback in the NFL. When he was brought in to be a project, it would be a shame to me if in the second year he's out. Then you look back and you say, well, why would you draft a guy knowing he's a project and then throw him out the window in the second year? The story I love hearing now, just think about the difference in the system. Derek Jeter, drafted in the first round by the Yankees. He makes 56 errors his first year at shortstop. But where did he make them? Only on to New York.
Yeah.
In the low Class A, where he could, and they just kept putting him out there.
Where you should make mistakes.
Yeah, and he told, the day he was elected to the Hall of Fame, I heard him tell that story. He was like, thank God they didn't give up on me because I was awful. Like he really had a ton of learning. He was a first-round pick. It's not like they just say, hey, let's take this project in the 20th round. He was the 6th pick in the draft out of Michigan, where, they had to project, right? And so they knew he would make mistakes, but they were patient with him. But football doesn't have only on to New York, right? They don't have that spot. So Malik Willis has to do it against the best players in the world right away. He gets thrown into a situation he's not ready for, and now it's like, well, I don't know if he'll make the team in the second year. It's a messed up system. It's wrong.
Yeah,
I get it. It's what else are you supposed to do? You're trying to win.
Well,
but you don't have a minor league team.
It went from when the whole not the new collective bargaining, but when the NFL in their hierarchy decided, hey, listen, we're not going to pay these quarterbacks, this large amount of money and they haven't proven anything.
Right.
When in those days, they were more inclined to let you develop. You develop, and it may take you a couple of years, but you're going to develop, and we're going to have you because we got our veteran here. And if it takes you 2 years to develop, then that's so be it. We're going to allow you to develop. But I think now, because of the new salary cap and the new CBA and everything else, it's easier for a team to draft a quarterback in the 3rd round or in the 1st round, as we've seen before, and give up on them very quickly, because you can then draft another quarterback that next following year in the 1st round. We've seen teams do it. We saw the Arizona Cardinals get rid of and he was a top 10 pick. The kid out of Cal. Was it out of Cal? I believe the kid out of Cal. He was a top 10 pick. And after the 2nd year, they were done with him.
Josh Rosen?
Yeah, Rosen. They traded him away.
Yeah.
They traded him away. It's easier for them to make those moves now than it was back in the day.
And I think that you could look at it through two different lenses of once a GM makes up his mind, then you have to just move forward with it. Even if it feels crass or too early, once you made your mind up, then we got to move forward. But I think, with Malik Willis, I think he's going to be on the roster. I think they're going to carry 3 quarterbacks as long as he continues to show improvement.
Exactly.
And as long as Will Levis is still learning. But I think once the Titans made the decision to trade up in the 2nd round and to take Will Levis, that automatically made Malik Willis's roster spot in question.
Yeah, jeopardizes the roster spot. And I'm sure Malik Willis, that was a sort of a proverbial warning shot. Like, okay, if you don't come back ready to go, your spot is not guaranteed on this team, because we've already drafted a guy in the 2nd round now that many believe is a 1st rounder that should be our franchise quarterback. That's what we're thinking. So you better come back ready to hit the ground rolling, because we're not going to, even though we shouldn't have put you in that situation last year, we're not doing it this year. We're not going to throw you out there and let you learn sort of trial through error. No, we're not doing that. You got to show us that you're improving each and every day and during the preseason.
Another angle that we've discussed a lot with both the Titans and the Predators is how much where they are right now is focused on this coming season, and how much are you looking at the next couple of seasons? Because if you're looking at the next couple of seasons and you figure this probably is the last year for Ryan Tannehill, he could have a great year, then you're like, wait a minute, the guy could still play. Let's bring him back. I mean, you absolutely could do that. But do you keep that 3rd quarterback on the roster knowing that, hey, next year we want to have these guys around. He's showing me enough that there's hope that I'd like to have him come into camp in year 3 and see where he is, even if he's just the backup. You also don't know how Will Levis is going to look in a year.
Right.
And so keeping those guys in the stable, if you could do it, that's good. But what are you sacrificing week to week? Where you say, man, I need that extra special teams guy, or a little light on wide receivers. Got to bring a guy up for the practice squad. Who do we cut? Oh, we got that 3rd quarterback in there. Might have to cut him. You get into that dilemma, right? Week 8, week 12, guys get hurt. God knows, last year, my goodness.
Guys do get hurt.
90 players or whatever,
we have
right?
learned the hard way.
Yeah. Tough to keep 3 quarterbacks the whole season without it coming to a head. Like, man.
Now, would it affect your roster spot? Because it seems like they opened up that.
You have that new rule where you could designate him on game day, but he's got to stay on your roster during the week.
On your 53-man roster. And then come game day, that 3rd quarterback doesn't count against your allotted number of players on game day. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Let's get into your thoughts on this. See your D-Hop thoughts. I see your Malik thoughts. Everything is on the table. We'll get into those thoughts coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
Hey, let me tell you about F&M Bank. They are the sponsor of our Take It to the Bank segment we had on Friday. Mine is on the line tonight. Come on, Pete Alonso. Make the Mets fans proud, win the home run derby, and allow me to cash in on my Take It to the Bank. Well, here's the other thing that F&M Bank is doing right now. Banking made easy on purpose. Here's an example of that. What a great idea they've got right here. It's called the Smart Swipe. If you have an F&M debit card and you say, I want the Smart Swipe, it's a great tool because what it does, you buy, let's say, your morning coffee for $5.28. Well, what they'll do is they'll round up the purchase to $6, and they'll take that 72 cents and they'll put it in your savings account. And every time you make a purchase like that, you'll be throwing money into your savings account. Great way to sit there and say, in a real simple way, I'm going to start saving a little bit of money. So go in, find your nearest location at myfmbank.com. They've got 20 locations around our listening area, and say, I want to learn more about the Smart Swipe. I want to start saving some money systematically. Banking made easy on purpose. We all know a little change can make all the difference. Member FDIC.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Jasper's on West End Avenue is your neighborhood bar and restaurant. They offer a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, a large bar, lounge area, and patio seating, plus free parking. That's right, free parking on West End. Come into Jasper's today to enjoy their elevated bar fare and well-crafted cocktails. Happy hour Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, and now game night every second and fourth Thursday. Drop in anytime where you can win gift card prizes each week. That's Jasper's on West End Avenue, Nashville's place to gather, play, eat, and drink.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Let's get into some of your thoughts on the latest with the Tennessee Titans. Jim Wyatt, in his most recent mailbag, said Malik Willis's roster spot is not guaranteed. Mike Reese of ESPN.com reports that DeAndre Hopkins, in that pursuit, the Titans have been much more aggressive. One texter texts in, our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says Will Levis gets time to develop, but Malik Willis gets screwed with no choice but to play, no O-line, and no receivers. I hate it for the young man and do believe that Malik Willis could be better than Will Levis. With the first part, he did get kind of screwed. I will give them that. That was a John Robinson demerit on his report card for not giving this Tennessee Titans team another option, more insurance at the quarterback position. I mean, Malik Willis was thrown to the wolves when he was not prepared to do so. He had no business seeing the field last year. But he did. And this is a new regime. John Robinson isn't here anymore. Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon are running the shots. That they view Will Levis as the quarterback of the future. So is it fair? Honestly, no, probably not. But a lot of things in the NFL, unfortunately, are not very fair.
Totally. And again, going back to what would you do in baseball in this situation? It'd be pretty simple.
Yeah.
You put one guy in single A, one guy in double A,
Yeah.
and just let them play it out. Let them play as long as they need, develop them, see where they are in a year, see where they are in 2 years. It's not a problem. Like the Predators just drafted plenty of wingers, plenty of centers. They're all going to play in their respective spots. They're going to play. They're going to develop. But you're trying to develop guys at the top level. And so, look, if Will Levis flops this year and looks awful, well, they might draft the next guy the next year. They might draft another guy. That's just how it works, right?
Caleb Williams, welcome to Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, yes, he was. I think they didn't put him in a situation where he could succeed. I thought he started to get a little bit better during preseason. That he should have been completely shut down after preseason. He shouldn't have seen the field because even though he got better each time, it wasn't enough to show that he could play on Sundays when the season started. It was enough to show, hey, okay, this kid is making some progress in what we want him to learn. He still has a long way to go, but he's learning. But then you had to throw him out there in a situation that, hell, I mean, Ryan Tannehill wasn't really, thriving in a situation that he was in because of the injuries and not having that number one guy. So now you throw a rookie in there that, he's still green, like as green can get. That's what he was. And you throw him out there and say, go out there and perform at a high level and win us games.
Right.
I mean, I get it. This sport is about, opportunities that you get and you're making the best on because it may be the one and only opportunity you get. But also, you got to put me in a situation where I can at least have a fighting chance. He didn't have both of his hands was tied behind his back, and you're asking him to go out there and fight. Couldn't do it, and
he didn't look good doing it.
Exactly, didn't look good doing it. But then I know people say, well, what's the kid's name from UT that came in Pittsburgh? They got him off the line. Yeah, Josh Dobbs. He came in and did well. People say, well, why he could? Well, Josh Dobbs had been in the NFL 5 years already.
And when you say he did well, I don't know if I would say he
did okay.
Well. He did okay compared to Malik Willis,
exactly.
But like you said, he's way older. He's had tons of time to develop. He's been around. He's been given a lot of time.
And Dobbs has developed into a good quarterback. He's a guy that can be a solid backup. So you expected him to come in and be better than what Willis showed, and he was. And I think some people are holding that against him, like, well, if Joshua Dobbs came in and did it, why couldn't you? Well, because Joshua Dobbs has 4 years under his belt, and he looks more polished as a quarterback than a guy that basically took his cue from the sideline in college. And was told where to throw the ball.
One word play calls.
Exactly, absolutely.
Jake from Nashville texts in about D-Hop, says teams are scared of DeAndre's age because of how Julio Jones was a bust. Julio was the same age as DeAndre is right now, and I'm hearing everyone getting excited about DeAndre, but I'm having flashbacks to how Titans fans acted during the Julio Jones sweepstakes. I wouldn't make the same mistake twice. The Titans can't afford it, and that would be Vrabel's second big wide receiver mistake. I disagree. I think that the D-Hop and the Julio Jones situations are different just because, first of all, you had to give up a second-round pick in order to get Julio Jones. You don't have to do that
Bigger
with
risk.
Hopkins. So, yeah.
And Julio was a year older.
Julio
he was 32
older.
as opposed to 31.
Julio was dealing with hamstring injuries, which we know the older you get, the more hamstring injuries can nag. DeAndre Hopkins isn't dealing with that. And I also think you're in a much more desperate situation with your wide receiver core now than you were in 2021 when you traded for Julio Jones.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You can't compare the two situations because they're different. One was a situation where the Titans were going for it, so they reached a little bit too much to try to bring in an aging receiver that has a Hall of Fame resume. But his best days were far behind him. But you felt this is the one guy that could potentially put us over the hump. And it didn't work. I think this is a different situation. You don't think he's meaning DeAndre Hopkins, he's not like the last piece that's going to get us over a hump. And he's not coming off a season or seasons where he's been consistently injured or dealing with soft tissue stuff. So, I mean, it's just, man, listen, it's just what are you willing to, how far are you willing to go to bring a guy like D-Hop? Because, listen, if it doesn't work, and I'm not even saying, if D-Hop just come in and just be a total dud, because I don't think that would happen. But if it doesn't work, meaning your offense doesn't look much different with him on this team, the problem may not be who you bring in. The problem may be you. Absolutely. So,
fair point. One texter texts in and says, if Willis looks better than Levis, then how do you justify cutting Willis, especially since they're around the same age? Well, also want to remind everyone that at this point, Malik Willis is throwing the ball in shorts, and there's no pass rush, and it's a much different environment. We've made the decision on this program that we will not make our full evaluations of Will Levis and of Malik Willis until we can see them in preseason games.
Yes.
So I think that Malik Willis, at this point, probably should look better than Will Levis. Will Levis is a rookie. Will Levis is figuring things out. Once you get through training camp, when you got the pads on, when you're facing a pass rush, when you're actually executing the offense, when you're in command of the huddle, that's when we can really make our minds up about who looks better, Will Levis or Malik Willis.
I would also add that because Levis is not a first-round pick, this is the beauty of getting him in the second round, having him sitting there. Look, one thing I've learned in watching this, if you can play, they're not going to cut you. They're not going to cut a quarterback who can play.
Right.
So if Willis outplays Levis, it's not like you're saying, well, we spent the first-round pick on Levis. Levis is a second-round pick. I don't think you want to throw him out his first year, but you will find a way to accommodate that if that ends up happening. Wouldn't you agree? Like if Willis doesn't show like he's getting anywhere, then okay, let's see. But there's a lot of variables here, right? So in this, if Willis looks better than Levis, they're not going to cut Willis,
no.
Right?
No, they're not. Yeah, they're not going to. If Malik Willis is the better quarterback in preseason games, he'll be the backup.
Yeah,
at least in the short term.
Levis will be on the team too.
Yeah,
both of them will be on the team.
Be on the team, and then does that change? Probably when it gets to a point, if and when Will Levis starts to progress, starts to look like he can take over this offense, then that's when things will change. Because I think the Titans view Will Levis as the quarterback of the future. I don't think they would trade up and take him if they didn't view him as the quarterback of the future. When does he become that quarterback of the future? That's what I don't know.
Yeah, only time will tell. And again, listen. Yeah, it will shake itself out. What's the saying? The cream will rise to the top.
Exactly.
Eventually, if you, like Willie said, if you can play, if you prove you can play in the preseason, you're going to be around. You just are. If Willis comes out and proves that he's learned a lot and he's made some giant steps, then he's going to be there on this roster. If Will Levis comes out and shows that he's picking up on offense quickly, he's going to be on the roster.
You don't need to make up your mind today.
Exactly.
You don't need to make your mind up tomorrow. You don't need to make your mind up the first day of training.
You have until the end of training camp to make up your mind.
And even
I'm saying the end of preseason.
Right.
To make up your mind. Once the rosters are ready to be set, that's when you make your determination. Because they will, and I'm sure they're bringing a fourth quarterback if they already have not brought in one. But
you think they will?
I think they're probably more than likely bringing another fourth quarterback just because.
Camp body.
Yeah, camp body, just because. But they're going to give these two individuals, Willis and Will Levis, enough opportunities to prove that they belong on this team. Because they know Ryan Tannehill. We know what you can do. These two guys, we're going to allow them to either play themselves out of a roster spot or play themselves into a roster spot.
Wes in Clarksville texts in about D-Hop, says if Vrabel says he doesn't want him here, then if he doesn't want to be here, don't you think that D-Hop would already be here if he wanted to be? So now the Titans should pass on him because he's looking for a money grab. Of course he is. This is business.
Yeah.
But you could argue that he doesn't want to be in New England.
Yeah. Right. I would make
where
the argument
does
he wants
to be? Like
he wants to be wherever's going to pay him. That's showbiz,
yeah.
baby.
That's why I said, listen, he's waiting for he can be waiting for one or two things or both. He can be waiting on a bigger offer from another team, or he could just be waiting for an offer from that right team, or he could be waiting for an offer from that right team that's maybe close to what an aggressive offer that the Titans are making or New England has made. If I can get close to the monies that is being offered from a, Kansas City or, I don't know, just any other team, say a San Francisco, even though I know San Francisco is not in the mix. San Francisco. If I can get close to the money that they're paying me, then I may be going over there because I got a shot to win. And at least I can recoup some of that money because I get playoff money. And if we go far enough, I'm going to get a lot of playoff money. And if we win a Super Bowl, then I'm going to get money on top of money, So
615-737-1025 is our phone number. One of my favorite nights of the year is tonight. We will discuss coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down.
They fight.
Jared, you're how do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
But how do you know that, though? But how do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexroad debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Being value conscious and getting the most for your money is so important these days, and that's why it's more important than ever to shop at Genesis Diamonds, the undisputed value leader.
Part of the education at Genesis Diamonds is we explain to you how we travel the world and purchase our diamonds, how we buy in bulk, we pay cash for our diamonds so we can save every possible percent to save you money on your diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
There are no middlemen, there are no other wholesalers or dealers, so we cut out all of those extra added markups and pass those savings on to you.
When you combine that unmatched value with a totally no-pressure shopping experience, you know you're in the right place.
Because we do not work on commission, our sole purpose is to make sure you get exactly what you want. There's nothing in it for us personally, whether you spend $1,000 or $100,000.
That's why at Genesis, people often end up spending less than they had budgeted.
Our goal is to purely present you with options so you can choose exactly what you want.
The value you want, the experience you deserve. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
On July 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee, 4 men will compete in one boxing ring. Only one winner will be declared. Who will be the last man standing in the first ever Survivor Tag? KSI's Misfits Boxing is coming to Nashville. That's right, Misfits and DAZN are bringing Misfits 008 to the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, including some of the biggest names in the crossover and celebrity boxing space. The night will be packed full of action, including the first ever tag team boxing match in the U.S. Fighters on the night include gun expert Brandon Herrera, fan favorite B-Dave, political activist Alex Stein, chart-topping rapper Swarms, lightweight champion Dean the Great, former BKFC champion Alan Belcher versus Hasim Rahman Jr., and many, many more. Misfits 008 tickets are available now, starting at $20 from Ticketmaster.com. The spring menu is here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, featuring their signature cast iron pie with herb roasted chicken, English peas, carrots, potato, simple greens, and a toasted biscuit crumble topping. Or garden succotash with snap peas, black-eyed peas, roasted peppers, sweet corn, tomato, and caramelized onion. Or try the steak fritas with pan-seared ribeye. Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, open daily till 2 with brunch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 7 till 2.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode, mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. So tonight is one of my favorite nights of the sports calendar. Like right now is a very slow time in sports. It is known as like the slowest time of the year and the calendar year in sports. But tonight is the Home Run Derby. And I absolutely love the Home Run Derby. Every single year, it is appointment watching for me. Like, I prefer the Home Run Derby over the baseball All-Star Game.
You're killing me.
I still love the All-Star Game. Like, I think the MLB All-Star Game is really the only All-Star Game that I really care about. Like, the Pro Bowl, don't care about it. NBA All-Star Game.
Don't care about the Pro Bowl.
The NFL doesn't care about the Pro Bowl. Don't care about the NBA All-Star Game. But I love the MLB All-Star Game. But I think the Home Run Derby is better. But I do have to say, it's lacking a little pizzazz for me this year. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if MLB itself hasn't been promoting it very much. I don't know if there's just not enough star power in this year's Home Run Derby. No Shohei, no Aaron Judge. I don't know what it is. I'm still going to watch it. I'm still excited about it. It's lacking a little bit of oomph, a little bit of sparkle, pizzazz.
I think you might be surprised, Caroline. I really do. I think Julio Rodriguez being the hometown kid in
that's
Seattle.
the one to watch.
That is
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
You know, I did suggest something to Caroline before the show started that would make, and I don't know if they have it or not, that would make it more interesting, especially when you don't have these, long ball, some of these real long ball hitters. They're not participating in this year's Home Run Derby. Good luck to Mookie Betts. I hope he does win. Just because selfishly, it's a Nashville guy. So, yeah. So hopefully he does win. But I know the odds are stacked against him a little bit. What do you think about this, Willie? Because I ran it by Caroline. You know how in Topgolf, you've been to Topgolf, and you got to try to hit certain rings
targets,
to get points,
skills.
I think that should be part of the Home Run Derby. Like if a spot lights up on it, you try to hit that spot to earn extra points. Say like the last 5 hits, or just periodically. It just shows up where you got to hit the ball where it lights up in the stands, and if you hit it there, you get extra bonus points for that.
I like that idea because I do think the Home Run Derby can get a little monotonous. I've never been a guy that would say I would prefer to watch the Derby over the game. I am all about the game. And I will admit that the game, because of the way the game is trended, so many strikeouts, home run being the biggest source of offense, it's changing this year. That's why I'm hoping the All-Star game will reflect the rules changes. Maybe we get a few more stolen bases.
Yeah.
A few more people taking chances on the bases. Action. That's what the game has lacked. No shifting. So please. But when you have guys throwing 98 for one inning, the best pitchers in the game, it's hard to hit. So we're getting a lot of 3-1, 2-1 All-Star games. So I get it with the younger group, like, oh, man, the game is not that great. Whereas when I was growing up, it was a much better game, I think. But I'm still partial to I would much rather, if I can only watch one, I'm watching the game and not the Derby. And I've never but I do think they've done a pretty good job the last couple of years keeping the Derby moving. For a while, it was just getting too long. Like, okay, let's get over with the second round. Let's move on. Well, he's got a timeout. We have a timeout. So they kept it moving. It's better, the format, than it was when they first started. But I'd be interested in a wrinkle like that. Like all right, you got to hit it straight away center on this one. Then you got to pull this one. You got to go opposite field. You get a bonus point.
Because that's technique.
It is.
That's skill.
And it's also you're working with your pitcher. Can he put it in a place? Can he pitch it? That's the underrated part. It's like Pete Alonso is using his travel team pitcher when he was 13 or 14.
Cute.
And now that guy's under pressure, right? Because if you can't throw a strike, if it's the moment's too big for you, like, oh boy, now you've just ruined his chance of winning. And that was my take at the bank. I'm counting on this guy to throw Pete the ball in the right spot here. Because who was he facing in the first round? The hometown kid, Julio Rodriguez, right?
That's right.
That's who he's playing first. So
Yikes.
the crowd's going to be going nuts against Pete Alonso here. They're going to be booing his pitcher. They're going to be hoping he screws up.
But if anyone is the face of the home run derby, at least in the last 3 to 5 years, Pete Alonso's got to be it.
Oh, yeah.
The polar bear.
The polar bear.
He has got to be it.
And that Mookie Betts is playing. Mookie has 26 home runs.
Yeah.
26. He's got more home runs than Pete Alonso.
And that's in the leadoff spot, too, which is pretty hard.
Now, Mookie says, yeah, but they only go 382 feet, which is fun. But he is
only.
Right. Yeah. But it does help the margin for error. Like, the further you can hit it, like you can miss-hit it and still goes out. Like, he's going to have to hit it right on the button to get as many. It doesn't hit it as far as some of these other guys. And don't you also get a bonus in the new format if you hit a certain distance? You get an extra.
I think over 400 something odd feet or something. You get like a money ball or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what gives the big boppers an advantage.
And I like the incentives of if you can just absolutely rip it, then you'll be incentivized. Like you'll get rewarded for doing that.
Yeah.
And isn't it? I'm trying to remember last year. Your home runs each round don't carry over to the next round, correct?
Correct. It restarts, I do believe. Yes.
I like that. I don't think it's very fair.
So, you could have the greatest round of all time in the first round.
And still lose.
And still, in the next round, that doesn't count for anything. You got to do it all again. Like, you could win by having 20 in the first round, then you can win again in the second round by having 12 if the other guy just doesn't have a good round.
And you could hit total more home runs than who you're going against, and that who you're going against can still win overall. I don't think that's very fair that if you hit more home runs and you lose, but I do like the idea of it resets every round because I think that eliminates the idea of, okay, well, if I hit 25 home runs in this round, I can just sit back and relax and not do anything in the next round. It's like you got to keep moving for it. I'm excited about it. But I do feel like we may be in the minority of sports fans that genuinely love and enjoy this all-star, experience in MLB.
I used to be enough of a snob for a while. I stopped watching. I was like, I'm not watching it. I don't want. I can't stand these people that would rather watch the Derby than a game. This is batting practice. I used to be that guy.
Yeah,
I am coming around. I am watching. I am going to watch. But I still would prefer the All-Star game.
I'm taking Vlad Guerrero to win the home run derby tonight. So Willie D and I going head-to-head. His pick was Pete Alonso. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Stillman and Company is up next.
Be loved and love on somebody. Peace.